Now I'm good.
I like this tone. Yeah. My intuition is telling me there'll be better days. I sit in silence and find whenever I meditate, my fears alleviate, my tears evaporate, my faith don't deviate, ideas don't have a date.
What's going on?
How was map one?
Good.
Ups and downs. We're up in the beginning.
As we speak, I'm at peace, no longer scared to die. Most niggas don't believe in God, and so they terrified. It's either that or they be fearing they gon' go to hell. Asking the Father for forgiveness got them overwhelmed.
What I'm most looking forward to is to see like all the boys make it.
Div 1 land.
I think it's just a win. Like, our team has been going through a lot of changes. I want to see how far we can push it and see if we can finish third or get like a podium.
Looking forward to competing with tough opponents and having a good time with my team.
I really want to break that top 5, top 4 threshold.
Winning seal.
I'm looking for a revenge on CCL.
Getting top 4.
To be honest, nothing. I don't really have anything to look forward to. Next semester is what I'm looking forward to.
I'm looking to win CCL. We only lost that one, so.
What's up, guys? We're here with members of the Overwatch team for a Pokemon Roulette Wheel Challenge. On the wheel, we have different characteristics of Pokemon that they have to hunt down in the open world. The catch is, all the Pokemon that they have to find have been randomized, and they have to catch a Pokemon with that attribute. First one to get 3 is going to win the challenge.
Yay! Yay! W Pokemon! Are you excited for Gen 10, guys?
Yes.
Oh my
Pokemon
god.
Wind and Waves?
Wait, you can't leak that. You're not allowed to leak that.
Sorry.
But we're gonna get canceled by Pokemon.
Classic. Alright, what do we got here? Oh, chat, this guy is cooked. Oh, pre-fire. Pop it open. Warming up those fingies. And now he's just not missing any shots? That can't be how that works. Moving on. Ooh, Obelisk. And chimps in VR helmets. And a legally differentiated enough version of Film Score.
No more than Calamity, though. Left and by, he'll be shut down. The rotation was for Cumberland, but St. Clair breaks. Oh, gaining moves. What the heck is that? Situation now 1-on-1, 1 HP on this solo. 1 bullet is a 4-person 1v5. Stand against the rest.
Guy to this ball, guiding it down, maybe even get one for the road.
Our standards here in this overtime period, because if we can see the goal, it's over for them.
He's doing a lot of damage, but he's got to keep you over. He avoids Ego.
Bob Waina, go flash.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another stream here at the Saints Gaming Nexus. I'm Patrick Smoke Chambers, joined by Evan, not really Evan Johnson, and we have some nice matchups for you tonight going in from ACAD COD. We don't get to see these guys very often, if at all. We got to see one of their members a few weeks ago, if you remember that one. Evan, he had quite the show to put on for us.
It was a good debut for Frags, and I think we were pretty impressed with what we saw coming out of Frags, you know, getting the call up to play with the varsity team, and now we get to see what the rest of the ACAD roster is looking like, and it's going to be Frags, Santi, White Widow, and Jay Will. I mean, they've had a pretty solid season. You know, we always talk about how good our varsity team is, but our ACAD team, they're quietly putting together a very solid season, 8-1 in NACE play coming into today, and all those games, Patrick, coming via the sweep. So it's been a very successful season for them. We were talking to Frags beforehand. He was sort of teeing us in and cueing us into what this team is like. They love to play the SMGs. They love to play really aggressive, and to me, it almost kind of sounds similar to what we're used to on the varsity team.
Yeah, a little bit. The one thing is that, obviously, with the varsity guys, they can kind of pick up anywhere, and you do have a couple of players like KB and CWADs who are very predominantly goated with the AR roles. So, again, you have people that can flex both options, but when the time comes, you can either have half and half, 3-1. I've seen Cootie as well flexing the AR. It's really only, if you think about it, Rupert, who is in the lineup, who usually just sticks to the SMG. Yeah. But with these guys, it is all gas, no brakes. And it would make sense that while interviewing them, we were kind of, or interviewing Frags a little bit earlier, we were kind of asking, like, what their strengths are, and respawn game modes got brought up. Again, S&D being the mode that they are the weakest into, to Frags' opinion, and also the fact that, given the map selection as well, really big on maps like Blackheart, Colossus, and Den. And immediately when you start talking about Colossus and Blackheart, that is what jumped out to me from the start. Because other than, obviously on Colossus, other than the lifeboats side, you eliminate that, and all of a sudden it just means that you like to fight for Overlook, you like to fight for the lounge and the bar side of things. Very close encounter maps, right? So, and I don't gotta go into explanation on why Blackheart is that as well. I mean, that's like literally all close. So it makes sense. And these guys, you know, they are 8-1 right now in NACE. They haven't really had a team that's been able to take them off of that stature whatsoever.
Well, hopefully they can keep the good times rolling. I mean, it's going to be a doubleheader tonight, but if we want to get some insight into what the team is thinking, we have an interview prepped with a member of the ACAD team. Santi will be joining us, the show. Santi, how we doing tonight? You know, first time on the stream all semester. How we feeling? Does that put any extra pressure on you guys tonight?
Not really, honestly. First of all, good to meet you guys. Yeah, I'm just super confident in the team. You know, as the season's been going on, we've just been growing and improving every time at a great pace. So, super confident in the team. We just work so well together, and excited to show you guys what we can do.
Right, and 8-1 so far. You guys are off to a strong start. I was talking to Frags earlier. I was asking him, like, what are your weaknesses, do you guys think, on your respawn game modes that we know you're already really strong in? He brings up the fact that you guys are having some trouble sometimes when it comes into breaking into hills, but when it comes to holding them, you're completely fine. Given the fact that you guys are more of an SMG team, though, you would think that it'd be a little more flipped. Do you have any other insight on why that might be, or is it just kind of stuff that you guys are still meshing through and gelling as the season gets going?
I think we've gotten better at all aspects. I would agree that Tyson is correct, that is our weakest point of our game. But I don't know why that might be exactly, but what I do know is that we are getting better at that, honestly, at every aspect of our game. So I think, like, as we edge closer towards the end of the season, you're going to see that, like, we're not going to have many flaws in our game.
No, for sure. And Patrick sort of brings up some potential weaknesses, but I want to talk about a strength that you guys have. Frags also told us that you guys are especially dominant in respawn modes. You know, talk like Overload, like Hardpoint. What's the secret to the success there?
Just our pace, the way we're able to take space on the map. I think we just have, like, a better understanding of the game over all the other teams that we play. So, you know, we just know how to get kills, take space on the map, where we know how to, like, comp simple stuff to each other, and we just take advantage of all the information we give each other. We just bounce off each other well.
Well,
for sure.
A couple of good matchups tonight, and hopefully you guys are all ready for both of them. If you had one thing to say to both Bellevue and the Condors ACAD side of things, what would that message be to them?
I would say that you guys have no chance. I think we're going to slam you guys, respectfully.
I love it. I absolutely love it. We need more of that from our Varsity Plus players. So, Santi, please let them know. Spread the word. Talk your stuff a little bit. But you guys completely deserve it. Have a great night tonight, guys, on your 2 games. And best of luck to you guys going forward.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, I mean, he might be onto something because last time the ACAD team played the Conestoga ACAD team, we ended up winning that in a sweep. Now, mind you, that was a best of 3, not a best of 5, because it was Swiss format.
Sure.
But a sweep is still a sweep. A win is still a win.
Yeah, and we're no strangers, apparently, on this team to sweeps because we were going through the records, right? And, Evan, you noticed that throughout the entirety of the season, it really has just been that. And not only when it's come to us being able to sweep other teams, but even in our losses.
Yeah, the one
too.
loss, also a sweep. It's just meant to be, I guess. We'll see if that stays the same today. I mean, obviously we have 2 chances to maybe, lose that. I think when you look at both of these matchups here, I think we get the easier quote-unquote matchup out of the way first. This Bellevue team also coming in at 8-1. They've had a really, really solid season thus far. We'll get to them in a little bit, but we could focus in on Conestoga, this team of T, Wrench, TMC, and Prizzy. They're coming in 5-4. They've had their struggles. They're just coming off of a 3-game losing streak. They just broke that in their most recent game. So they've had their ups and downs, and coming into a team like St. Clair that's been very consistent this year, I mean, I don't really give them the advantage. Then you also look at the maps as well. I think this map pool very much benefits St. Clair. Like, you had rattled off some names, Blackheart, Colossus, Den. That's what we're getting for the first 3. Blackheart, Colossus, Den for Hardpoint, S&D, and Overload. And then even if for some reason you need a 4th or a 5th map, it's Colossus, Hardpoint, and Den, S&D. So at the onset, this map pool definitely benefiting St. Clair.
Yeah, it definitely does. And, if the history of probability were to be correct, then that means that this first game decides the series in general. If we win it, then we're just going to take it in sweeping fashion. If we lose it for whatever reason, well, that means we're going to get swept. No, I'm just kidding. That's probably not going to happen. I think this team right now has been through too many trials and tribulations to be damned to have themselves go home dropping a goose egg. I don't think that's going to happen. Santi and the others, they feel very confident. And, we were getting a look at what Frags was able to provide on the varsity team stepping in. Considering they're going to Blackheart on Hardpoint first, and we get to see Frags cook on that one yet again, yeah, I'm worried for this Condors ACAD side.
Yeah, I was really impressed with what I saw out of Frags in that game.
Dude,
where
he was like top fragging for most of the game.
No pun intended. I mean, it honestly looked like he was just another member of the varsity team that you just don't see very often. I mean, that's the talent level that we have, as a whole in this Call of Duty program. I mean, this is a very well-built team, from top to bottom. If you're talking about varsity, if you're talking about ACAD, it's nice that we get to see some of the other talents being showcased on stream that we normally wouldn't get to see. As we get a look at the team as they're getting prepared on stage right now. And like I said, doubleheader tonight. You get rid of Conestoga to start. Bellevue coming up later. We mentioned that one most likely going to be a tougher game, but let's talk predictions for Conestoga. I mean, I think I know where you're going with this, but how do you think this one's going to break down?
Man, I mean, unless the actual, the main Condors roster has some ball knowledge to spit for these guys on the ACAD side of things, these guys know what it's like to face the St. Clair ACAD team, and they know that it usually ends in quick fashion. I mean, the map pool as well, giving it to St. Clair here as it's just too much of an advantage for me. I see us taking this in 3-0 fashion, give us maybe a 3-1. Given the fact that Condors ACAD as well have recently not been in very good form, you mentioned they had a win, but that being said, through their last 4, they're still 1-3. I think we got one here for the books on a 3-0 the St. Clair way.
I'm kind of thinking the same way. I think this team has built up so much momentum over the last couple weeks. They've been performing very well. And Santi, I think the confidence speaks for itself, right? He's coming in. He knows the team has been performing well. He knows that the communication has really been, humming lately. So is the chemistry. So I think they're going to ride that into win today. I think maybe the only thing I'm interested to see is how they perform at S&D. That seems to be one of the modes they're a little bit weaker on, and against a team like Bellevue that has had a really good season, it is going to be interesting to see, like, you know, in like a sort of controlled environment, how we approach S&D. But for now, I do think this one's going to be a sweep, but I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on some things as we get ready for our second series of the night later.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You know, you were pointing out S&D, just some info for the viewers at home. Frag's going to be the one to be carrying the sniper for the most part, as he's said before. And, well, Arsanti, who we just had on interview, usually the one picking up the smokes as well for the side of the thing. So, look, for this COD team, right, again, consistency, it's been the key for them. They're going to keep keep moving forwards. But, you know, I was kind of asking earlier as well, you know, we've talked a lot about their strengths, a little more on the weaknesses as well, right? Yes, the breaking into the hills thing on the respawn game modes, but they also don't have too big of a map pool. We noted that, you know, for a team that really likes Den, there's not a whole lot of consistency when we get to the other maps like Exposure and Scar, which can be played on literally every other game mode. And, you know, when asking kind of why that may be or whatnot, it seemed that Frags was hinting that the rotations might need some slight work, which, you know, that would actually really tie into the whole trouble with breaking into hills if maybe the rotations are a little more on the weaker side for these guys. But at the same time, you've said the comms have been humming, and I wonder if that's also because when Frags was getting out of his Varsity Plus match, we had an interview with him, and we asked him, what is the number one thing that's different from playing with ACAD and playing with these guys? The comms was a big one. Taking that knowledge, bringing it back to your ACAD team can really help you guys build, and it's no surprise why, look, given these improvements that you've gotten from that experience and given the improvements that these guys have just made throughout the season in general, why they're such a strong team, regardless.
Yeah, I think that experience you get from playing varsity as well, I think that really, you know, that's a lot you can take to. That's a great learning experience for somebody who's on ACAD, and obviously, you know, you take the most out of your opportunities when they're presented to you, and I think Frags did a really good job, and he's been able to spread that to the rest of his team, and it seems like it's been working pretty well. I mean, I think you kind of said it the right way, that this ACAD team, they've been doing all the right things to get, you know, to where they want to be, and I think they are going to be in a good spot, at least in this series, but time will tell once we get closer to the game. I think we are getting close to our first match. We should be hopping in fairly soon. The team looks like they're getting ready. The lower third, I was going to say, usually the lower third disappearing is a sign that we're ready to go in, but I got baited. I got rage baited a little bit there, and we're back in the studio now, so I guess we'll wait a little bit longer.
You know, it's COD, so at the end of the day, we could always get into game and hear, and
Codcaster's broken.
Lobby
Yeah,
broke,
Codcaster's
broken,
yeah.
Got to restart. I'm trying to think of what the worst one was. I want to say there was one time where we've had like 4 rehosts needed. Maybe 3 might be the worst.
When was that? What game were you thinking about?
I can't quite remember if this was one of the NACE games that happened in the fall. I do remember there was one that was like minimum 3. It was dreadful. This is, I want to say, like back in, might even be all the way back in October.
Damn.
Yeah, rough. Pulling that one back from quite a mile away. Look, I could be
surprised you pulled that one out.
I could be completely wrong as well. But
I'm not going to fact check.
What I do know is, when it comes to stuff like this, COD sometimes, it takes a little bit for the game to agree with everybody being in the lobby. So
we love Codcaster here at St. Clair College.
Yeah, you gotta.
You love it.
Yeah, but look, again, for Conestoga, right? We know what this team is capable of here at St. Clair. Notes for them. Given the info that we've collected, what do the Condors ACAD need to do to flip the narrative completely and show up and show out here?
Well, I think if you're basing it off of what we learned in the interview and what we learned talk to the team beforehand, if breaking into hills is their weakness, then if I'm Conestoga, then I'm doing my best to make sure that I'm holding a hill as long as I can, and just making sure that the defense is as strong as it possibly can. Because if you could just get to a hill first and just make it impossible for St. Clair to break in, just warp attrition, you might find yourself in an advantageous position. Now, that being said, Once you give up control to St. Clair, good luck getting it back, especially when you're in a close situation where they like to run SMGs. On maps where we have longer sight lines, maybe that's when you try and expose them with some solid AR play, right? If you can take them out, long sight lines, neutralize some of their advantageous positioning with SMGs, you might be able to find a way through. But I mean, you can only do so much, because I feel like there are so many maps where, like, especially with other game modes, there are so many just close quarter situations. You're not really going to get a lot of times you're going to have a very long range engagements. We saw that a lot with some BO6 maps where there's a lot of like outside sight lanes. I think like Raid might be the best example of that in BO7, but like we're not seeing that in the map pool tonight. Maybe we see that. Maybe we see that in the next series, but we're got to wait and see when we get there. But for Conestoga, I think it's just, for Hardpoint, just do your best to try and lock down the points as much as you can, try and build up the score as much as you can, and try and get St. Clair off their rhythm a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, when we're talking about what the keys of conditions to winning are, in terms of Hardpoint, hey, look, obviously the team that has a better hold is going to be able to gather more points and therefore have that down stat. I think the other thing that you got to remember for Conestoga is that, look, you have a team that's talked about the fact that they're a little more weaker on the rotations as well, and yet they play extremely fast. Maybe don't try to outpace them. Try to see if you can isolate them a lot more. And hey, you know what? It's easier said than done, but in this matchup right now, Conestoga, they have a hold of their own on P1.
Well, this is what we said. If they want to win, they need you to get to these hard points faster than St. Clair can do it. Jay Will, he's trying to get active on the site, and St. Clair looks like they're in position to find their first points of the game. So now that St. Clair's broken in, how long before they get that control gone? Points being contested again, but Frags doing his best to hold out for St. Clair, but swift response for Conestoga before T just takes a little dip in the water.
Right, well, I mean, TMC right now has been really hard to drive out of this position. Not a great start from Senti either, though I will note, minuscule in terms of the point spread so far. So no worries, at least, just yet. Way too early to call anything on this one for Blackheart so far. St. Clair having some decent control in the repair area now. J-Will is going to try to extend over to that extractor side, but going to find nothing from that as Wing shutting him down. And Frags, I was going to say, the one to watch on this team, given his performance the last time we were out here on Blackheart. We need to see him drop some numbers if St. Clair want to continue their ways.
Well, he's doing a good job right now, and we're getting a good look at why St. Clair is so strong at holding these points. They take the lead, but Conestoga, they've broken back in. J-Will, he's trying to get back in there, and Santi, he's not able to as well, but it's your guy Frags who's making a big play to get back in control. But Conestoga, they are not giving this up easily. It's been a very hotly contested site. Santi not able to clear out his corner as the Condors will hold out a little bit longer. It looks like they're already at the next hard point.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, we talk about Frags. He gets the double kill there. Look, there's a reason why this guy was called up to take over a position on Varsity Plus for that 1 week. And you're seeing why. He earned his opportunity, and he's making sure that he knows, hey, if there is ever that conundrum to happen again, you know who's lined the ring, because this guy is doing everything right now for St. Clair in terms of the killing department and creating space. As J-Will and Santi going to find picks of their own to work their way out through this water pump side. Is now TMC working around the barge, going to have to see if he can keep himself alive, but Frags is just on a streak of 5, and he keeps things building.
Yeah, he's been the guy right now to get things done, and maybe that's just the play call. You know, you have everybody sort of crash the site, and Frags is the one to just make sure that nobody else from Conestoga can get close. And got 10 seconds left. Gonna have to get people from St. Clair starting to rotate over to P4. It looks like that's gonna happen. TMC in the way though, but Jay will shut him down. So St. Clair should have possession of this next hard point first before Conestoga can establish themselves.
Yeah, now
take that back.
The sub-bay gonna be the area contested here as Santi team back out, sees one around the machines, but he's not gonna be able to take it down. Wrench, some good space driven through from him, the nice shots to connect, and St. Clair, they're going to have to work through this diving bell side, passing through the control room and seeing if they can get their way back onto that sub-bay area. White Widow tailing Frags as he's going to be the first man in the engagement and beating himself out for J-Will to take control second follow-up. It's good play right now from St. Clair. We were talking about their struggles in breaking into hills. Not showing up that time, though.
No, and once they get in, they really do a good job of building up the score here. I mean, you got the trophy system as well. It's just, once you lose it, that's where it starts to get a little bit dicey. But I haven't really seen that weakness thus far. I mean, it was really just that first point at the start of the game on P1 where Conestoga was really able to build up a lot of score. But since then, St. Clair has answered with some pretty impressive holds on these sites. Let's get to this fifth and final hard point in the rotation. He's had a solid game for Conestoga. That's a nice little triple for T as Conestoga retakes control of the site. We'll see what St. Clair can do to try and rotate back in. Seems like it might be free real estate right now, but Conestoga quickly back on.
Yeah, they definitely are, and now St. Clair are going to try to see if they can get back into the swing of things. Frag's going to be able to make sure that he can do so. Finds the head of one across the extractor side, but he's going to have to wait a little while longer. Doesn't want to take that reach out when you have an SMG up against an AR at that range. Wrench going to work himself through. Has a little bit of a flank, and TMC going to be the one who can back his man up and make sure that they have coverage there. Wow. White Widow almost getting shut down, but finds the headshots instead, and St. Clair, they're building up quite the point spread right here on the Condors ACAD.
Yeah, you can just tell that things are starting to click a little bit. It was a bit of a slow start on Blackheart, but things are really coming up St. Clair right now. Frag's going to fall, but still 3 men on for St. Clair as Condors rushing the point, but Jay Will, a big double to keep it in control for St. Clair as Jay Will continuing to hold it down for the ACAD team. Little bounce off the wall. Does finish off that kill. I wasn't sure he was going to get that. It's a nice little 5 streak for Jay Will, and that's a nice little delay as well to halt the reinforcements coming in for Conestoga. St. Clair continue to drive up that score, almost eclipsing the 100-point spread. They're looking really, really comfortable as we get into the later stages of this game.
And this is the problem, is that no matter what, unless you want to take the time to develop a two-way pincer, you want to find double lane control through the literal control room. Problem, Frags is holding that right now, and they have not been able to make that guy budge at all. So all of Conestoga ACAD have been trying to just send it through the main doors. And when you have Santi and Jay Will just there holding close angles, good luck clearing it out. I mean, it's just a perfect strategy. So now White Widow Rihanna in the repair side, and that will be good at least to alter the spawns. Going to have a bunch of the St. Clair members spawning near there, as now you're going to be able to establish your own cross angles of control. Santi going to have a key position here, as it's going to be White Widow, who unfortunately can't hold on, needs some assistance from Santi, but it does come through. St. Clair trading each other with ease.
And how good has St. Clair been on their rotations? They talked about this was one of their strengths, so we're really seeing it come into fruition right now. Always somebody in support or able to make the next step happen for St. Clair, and that's why this point spread has really ballooned that quickly. I mean, we're basically already at the end of the game here. Saints just need a couple more points to finish that off. I mean, all it's going to take is 4 seconds at this point. Any kill now is really just adding a cherry on top to a very strong start to this series, but Conestoga not done yet. They will eclipse 100. We would think, but Jay will contest a little bit. Not able to get it done. St. Clair not able to break in to this next hard point, but still a lot of time for St. Clair to get those 4 seconds they need to get the win. Hellstorm from Santi, nice cruise missile to open the point up just a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, so long as, and I think he actually even used the second one, so, or at least it was shots from the first and then the main missile hit after. Look, regardless, it needed to be perfect from Condors ACAD, but when you have score streaks that come into play, no hold can be perfect, because they are literally free point clears, and St. Clair, they hold on to these cruise missiles until they need to use them when absolutely necessary. They found their job and their option to use them right there. And Jay Will, play of the game, was kind of going insane on this little 5 streak here that he finds in the mid area on the grinder pit. St. Clair ACAD taking game number 1, and well, if this is of any retelling of historical events, they say history often repeats itself. If that's the case, Conestoga forfeit right now, and we can get on to Bellevue. No, I'm just
Wow. Hey, I mean, I guess there's a non-zero chance, but I mean, it was a good start. I mean, that was almost a varsity team-esque performance, you could say, with the way they really started.
This next one, though, is going to be more interesting to me.
I'm thinking the same thing. This is really where you're going to be wanting to pay attention. This is where the struggles have come for this team. But again, how similar is that to the varsity team? Because if someone asked me, what's the St. Clair varsity COD team's weakest mode, I probably would say Search and Destroy out of the three. I mean, sure, it can be up for interpretation, but I just think when given recent history, like Hardpoint, I mean, they're so dominant on. Overload, similar story. Hardpoint always seems like we see games that come down to maybe like a 6-3 or maybe like a 6-4, which, I mean, for us, that's a close game, right? All things considered. But we're going to get a taste at how these guys look. But, I mean, if Frags can tap into what he was getting into on Blackheart, get this guy a sniper, this guy's going to be dangerous. And I want to see it happen.
Yeah, he definitely is. I'm just more or less intrigued on how a player who is used to being so aggressive with the Strophic in hand is going to completely change his pace and style when given that VS Recon, that DSR. That's the number one thing that I'm waiting for, right, is to see how well Frags can just shift his tempo of play. And to me, that says a lot about the skill of a player when it comes down to adaptability as well, right? So, again, St. Clair now, round number 1, looking to go more towards this atrium side of things, and Frags is notably not going to have the sniper in hand, and TMC gets first blood off of the fact that he takes a challenge that's a little too far when he's up against an AR.
And you want to think as well, the team talked about how they struggle sometimes on these long sidelines with these ARs, and a map like Colossus, if you're playing one of these sites outside, I mean, that really is going to benefit the AR, you know, barring certain situations, but we don't have to talk about that too much longer. St. Clair, they don't even need the sniper to find a round win. They lose one right away, but they respond in kind. Santi with 2 and the final kill.
Yeah, and Santi, a big reason of why they won that round, and even if you can't take the guy down, you have someone chasing from the backside. I believe that was White Widow who had established the cross through the Overlook passage. So St. Clair, round number 1 under their belts, as now they look to see if they can convert on 2 and hopefully make this one quick so that you can progress onto an overload game mode that you're a lot more comfortable on.
Yeah, going into the next game up 2-0, just so comfortable for this team, and nice confidence booster going into the rest of the night as well when you have a tougher series coming up. And another good start is Santi picking up right where he left off to find the first pick of this round, and St. Clair, they're slowing it down, but Jay Will going to get exposed there, and Wing finding another one, and all of a sudden, Frags left in the 1v3.
Well, it's going to be so tough to isolate these gunfights because you can't really even take too many of them at long range with this Dravik, as now one around the cargo. Going to be able to find one, though, and hey, you know what? A little bit of an errand movement and rotation from Conestoga ACAD as Frags going around has a second. I mean, this is just nasty here from Frags. And in a 1v3, he's done so well right now to isolate gunfights. I was going to say this was probably going to have to be the hardest part of what he had to go through, and
he's still playing. Seeing
as where the bomb is, though, I think everyone knows that the gunfight has to come around here with the pistol. Trying to swing back around. 20 seconds left to go, and it seems like they're going to try to make Frags chase this kill. Wing is just running around the map, and I cannot blame him. At this point, you'd rather have the guy plant and then take a rechow on a bomb site, but this is good for Frags as it means that he needs Will to play Wing to play closer to him.
Yeah, now you put more pressure on Wing as well, because if Frags could he doesn't even need to delay. He's just going to win the 1v3. I mean, ice in the veins for Frags. He doesn't even have to do anything fancy. You win, you be patient. Frags able to get it done. Really good stuff from him. We talked about how this was going to be the guy to watch, and so far he's delivered.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's only 3 kills of the map, but given that given the situation, easily the top 3 most impactful Frags when looking back on this one, if this is how it's going to continue. Frags having a nice little addition to his highlight reel is now St. Clair up 2-0. Conestoga to attack again.
That's a tough round to lose for Conestoga as well. I mean, all signs pointing to you taking it and, finding your way back in, but St. Clair, they just wrestle it back in their favor, and they're looking to press right now as they're back on defense. Conestoga just shade towards this A side. Jay Will going to find that first pick for St. Clair. It's now Conestoga need to regroup, try and break into this A site. They're still shading over this way. They find a pick in response. 2 as well. Is T going to continue to be active? He's had a solid day for Conestoga thus far, even leaning back into hard point, but a nice pick from Santi evens us back up at 2.
Man, you know, the number one thing that I have to notice is that Conestoga, they've found retrades on both of the last 2 rounds, and they've actually had man advantage, but it seems like St. Clair, when the going gets tough, these players are just able to punish Conestoga for just simply not sticking together. And they have been able to isolate gunfight after gunfight with this team. I mean, look at St. Clair. They're so much more together than the Conestoga players were before. And swinging through lifeboats, frags. Going to see one as Santi backing him up and finding the next. And again, this would be Conestoga throwing away what they had, which was a man advantage to St. Clair for the second round running if the Saints convert on this.
Oh my god, Blink somehow getting out of there, but will end up getting slimed out by Santi as St. Clair keep the good times rolling. They get the defuse down, and I thought that maybe it was going to be a little bit more interesting as he gets out of there and goes to the other bomb site. But St. Clair, they stay the course, and they find round number 3 and are slowly starting to take over in Search and Destroy.
Yeah, I mean, that's 2 times where I passed you now, thinking that there might be a little more time in between.
You would
but
think.
These guys, they just don't give a damn. They just want to rush them down, and hey, you know what? Maybe that's on me, because we did know that that was what their play style was going to entail. So, hey, you know what? Right now, St. Clair, they're doing a good job. For a team that were saying they were struggling a little more with rotations, they seem to have definitely been working on those since the semester has started, because these guys are looking clean right now.
I was going to say, I don't think I would necessarily think this would be their weakest mode. I mean, all things considered, it's been very strong thus far. I mean, we still have a little bit to go. We're about halfway through this round of Search and Destroy. Conestoga is still looking for their first points. Now St. Clair back on the attack. Frag's going to hit a shot, but not really going to mean much. Santi going to take out that trophy up in the top there, but T's still hanging out, and depending on this timing, might be good for 1, but does not matter as White Widow able to find that first blood for St. Clair.
Man, I mean, that's so coordinated. You know that a player is going to come through the overlook side of things, so what do you do on atrium? You set up a double wall bounce, and the guy doesn't even know where to aim. Is Santi going to be able to cut down another? And blink and you miss it. St. Clair, they eliminate the Condors once again, 4-0. And this one is getting ugly very quick here, Ev.
Yeah, 8-1 for Santi thus far. It's been a great game for him, and I think you said it right. It's starting to get ugly for Conestoga. I mean, they had their chances aplenty at the start of this round. They were able to potentially steal a round away, but St. Clair, they just find a way to persevere and keep it going. And again, like Varsity, just when you think they might drop around, somebody from the team is going to step up and make a big play.
And we'll have to see Conestoga make a couple big plays here if they want to even get themselves into conversation of contesting this map, because it just simply hasn't gone that way. And looking at how these games have played out, I'm a little bit confused here if maybe the ACAD team of Conestoga just like gave St. Clair multiple map picks in a row. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's just how the map bans worked out. And I'm a little bit confused because the ACAD team of Conestoga, these maps were picked not just by St. Clair, obviously. They had a say in this as well. So it seems like it's not like they're not comfortable with any of these. But St. Clair, they just look to be the better squad overall, and it doesn't really even look close right now.
I think it's tough when you have a team like St. Clair that has been so successful. It's almost impossible to ban around them because you know their bag is so deep, right? Like, it's not like you can just target ban a specific map and really shut them down. It just seems like they're able to perform wherever it's necessary. Now, we did mention that because this is such a SMG-dominant team, you know, maybe some of these longer-range maps would cause them some trouble. And I mean, on a map like Colossus, where you have these outside sites like B, you know, where there are some longer sight lines, there really haven't been any issues. Even with their so-called like weaker of the two options, they're still lasering shots with these ARs.
Yeah, I mean, the Dravik, no matter what, no matter how you put it, is really just a monster of a gun, which is why so many players just love to use it. trade coming through. J-Will going to be able to take down 2. Frags with another. Eventually, J-Will is going to be traded back out. But in a 2v1 scenario, Frags and Senti, you would almost trust no others to get the job done than these guys right now in current form.
And what do we see them do last? I mean, bomb's already planted. You're not really going to have them run it down this time. You just be patient, wait for this diffuser to come through. Wrench not able to clear the site, and he's just running through this knife out, and St. Clair will take that. I mean, not much resistance being shown from Conestoga. A sweep in search and destroy puts St. Clair on match point, and Patrick, this was fairly easy for them. They did not really see a whole lot of struggling in S&D.
I smell sweep, Ev.
I think you might be right.
And look, we might be seeing it on Den Overload, which is where we're going to be headed to next. We've seen a lot of St. Clair Den Overload so far this semester. And I gotta say, if these guys have taken any notes off of their gameplay, we're in for a treat. Given the fact that, again, look, I get it, rotation-wise, you've pointed out that it's been a problem in the past, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but right now it just doesn't seem like an issue that you would even be locking in. I think with Conestoga, the number one thing that I want to see from them is to play more together. Yeah. I think that these guys have looked way too isolated in comparison to our Saints, and this is kind of why the difference is coming through. I mean, in a 1v3 in SND, Frags should almost never be able to win that out if you guys just simply
coordinate a push and set up a pinch play. But
I didn't want to sound too mean, but it's just you didn't. And stuff like that, you can't afford for it to happen. You have man advantage as well in the very next round, and unfortunately you just bottle it too. So Conestoga, I think maybe just this break in between the games, they need to mentally reset, talk things over, and kind of say like, hey, whether it's a problem through rotations, whether it's a problem in communication, right now St. Clair seems like they have you beat in both of those two facilities.
Well, I think at this point it might already be too late for Conestoga because you're going into another respawn mode, and then if for some reason Conestoga takes Overload, where do you go next? You go back to Hardpoint and back to Colossus. So I would definitely favor St. Clair in another Hardpoint match. Like, yes, Conestoga was able to, rack up the score a little bit, but once St. Clair was in the driver's seat, there was no going back for them. They had control of that game for about 95% of the time, and I don't think Conestoga wants to go back there. And even so, if for some reason you force that fifth game, you go back to S&D, you just got swept on S&D. So it's like I don't really see a situation where Conestoga comes out of this. I think the map that they had to win was the last one, was Search and Destroy, to get this to a 1-1. That was the one you needed, and you lost it. Now St. Clair in the driver's seat 2-0 fashion. I think they're just going to put it away here.
Yeah, I don't really see it going any which way. And, again, I'm now looking at Bellevue, and I'm thinking, right, like, for a team that is, for two sides that are 8-1, one potentially being 9-1 by the time we get to that matchup on the docket, so much momentum being carried in favor of St. Clair. I mean, it would be no better of a warm-up to get through to Bellevue coming off of a dominant sweep, showing off your full set of skills.
Now, the one thing that is potentially something you want to keep note of is that game scheduled to start at 8:30. And if they get through this Overload game fairly quickly, that potentially is a long time where you're just sitting cold. So you're hoping that they don't lose that edge they've gathered, from this first series leading into the next series against Bellevue. Obviously, that could change. We'll see how it ends up shaking down. Potentially, there is a chance that both teams might agree to start earlier depending on schedules, but at the very least, that is something to take into consideration, when you're looking at a doubleheader. But so far, I mean, the Saints are looking pretty dominant, pretty locked in. And, do you think maybe the stream buff is helping a little bit? Their first time on stream, let's give everybody a good show, because I think thus far they've done a really good job of that.
Well, you asked Santi earlier, are you nervous at all? And they said, no, not really. I mean, I think they've been very good in terms of keeping their nerves in check. And again, I think the number one thing that's on Santi's mind throughout these games has just been simply, guys, been here before, play like you've been here before. And at the end of the day, they're showing out right now. And, regardless of if you're on stream or not, this is just another Nace matchup. You played through 9 already, and you're 8-1 so far. So do what you have done to get those 8 wins, and this will end up no different. And so far, I think that that's been absolutely a factor of what's gone into today.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't think that these guys have never been on stream before because, like you said, they are playing like they've been here before, and I think we've been impressed with what we've seen from this Call of Duty ACAT team, but still one more game to go on Overload, and I think you were sort of alluding to it, Patrick. If this is something, if they're similar in play style to the varsity team on Den, we can kind of break this down. This is a team that's St. Clair. They love to get super aggressive if they can. You know, controlling spawns the way you want to, really sort of taking advantage of either, you know, this dojo side near security or, you know, coming in off the balcony, you know, on the other end of the map. You know, these are teams that once they get their lane set and are just able to manipulate things the way they want it to, it's really hard to stop them once they get going. And I'm hoping that an aggressive team like this ACAT team, I think that plays into their strengths as well, because you have the ability to really push the tempo, change spawns often, manipulate them the way you want to, and if they can get that going, this is going to be a really hard team to stop and Overload once they get things rolling.
Yeah, and you know, I think the number one thing that I'm kind of taking away there is, to me, this team, the thing that they have gotten over Conestoga for these first 2 maps, their ability to change pace and for Conestoga to not keep up. And I think with Overload, when you're looking at a team that really knows how to rip it from 0 to 100 and then slow plays down when they need to, that's dangerous, especially when we're talking about a game mode where you need to be the most coordinated out of the 3, I would argue. So, again, if it's any inkling to what we saw in terms of coordination with Conestoga for these first 2 maps, yeah, I'm slightly worried. But for St. Clair, which, hey, who guessed we're casters for, I will take all of that going forward into this matchup. I think that my confidence in these guys sky high, but we don't need any more theory. Actions, they speak louder than words.
So true, so true. And we're going to see some pretty big action coming through to start. It's going to be St. Clair who find that first blood and already trying to take space in this plaza. That's 3 down for Conestoga, and St. Clair already in control of the device. And look at this, already on the move. It's going to be J-Will in control. The flash, big flash to create more space, and that's an easy score for St. Clair right off the rip.
Yeah, I mean, the stun immediately goes out, and no matter what, it just creates a lane right there for St. Clair, and they're going to be able to work their way through as Wing. Going to be able to find that pickup, but when you have so much security control like St. Clair did off of the utility and Santi carving a path for these players on St. Clair roster, that score was as easy as any. And now Conestoga, they have to answer back in a big way. They have done so quite well so far. They're trying to obviously get the hit on the dojo side. And keep an eye out for TMC, who's going to look to try to have a little bit of a flank. Picks up 1, needs to find a second though. But that being said, bomb detonated, Overload device, no matter how you want to say it, regardless, it's going to be Conestoga who get 1 more point on the docket and tie things up.
And it's tough when you cast a lot of attack shooters with
Dude,
bombs,
my brain
and
just
spikes
like,
and
yeah.
EMP devices. It's too much to keep track of sometimes. But either way, you know what's happening. And St. Clair, they definitely have an inkling of what they need to do to get this done. They reestablish control of the device and are on the move once again. It's going to be a long rotation for Santi. He's going to be trying to execute on the security side. I think to get some eyes on, though, and J-Will will fall. So that's your support man down for St. Clair. And Santi, though, he's doing good for himself. He's on a bit of an island, but the reinforcements have arrived to keep this push going. It's going to be Wing. Going to be that last line of defense. Frags. He's using that Semtex to create some space, but he just finishes that kill, and St. Clair mowing through the reserves of Conestoga. That should be another score for St. Clair, and it is. They retake the lead.
Yeah, and Frags on the entrance side is just completely controlling any motion through the driveway, and Santi is going to be able to find potentially a second pick here. He slides through, and there it is. Decent on the cancel, and now you got to worry about TMC, who's found his way through the armory side of things. Wing trying to back him up, and Conestoga still fighting for positioning over this courtyard, albeit they need to try to fight for it a little bit harder as Frags is going to clear out the armory side, and that will let St. Clair at least play some critical defense.
Yeah, and I like where they're playing right now. You have this window position under control for St. Clair. That's going to make it so difficult for Conestoga to get the device. And when you have somebody up in this window spot, you have Santi just isolating, getting up in close. Just can't get anything going for Conestoga, and St. Clair will take advantage of that. Back in control, Santi hopping up through the window to find one, and that's going to make things a little bit easier. So now Santi back near the spawn of Conestoga. If they can't get a handle on this, St. Clair should have another free score, and that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, I mean, the hopping through breach as the player just turns around is just too much to give up, and Santi, he's going to have a cross on a couple of these players, takes down 2, but at the same time, they have Bailey control right now, so long as Conestoga continue to spawn there, that will be halftime, and that will be all she wrote for the first 4 points.
Yeah, really solid stuff from St. Clair. You can really see, especially at the end there, how these spawn manipulations really start to make life just a living hell for Conestoga. I mean, St. Clair was so far back in Conestoga spawn, and when you have guys like Santi that are just absolutely frying, there's just nothing you can do to stop that. Like, you just can't get your reserves back in time and set your defense fast enough to try and stop these plays. That's why they were so easy for St. Clair and why we're already at halftime before the first halftime even runs out.
Man, I mean, this matchup started exactly when, Evan? Maybe 7...
I don't know, like 7:05, I want to say, sure. 7:06 or 7:07?
Given the fact that we had to run pre-show for a good 15 to 20 minutes, this has simply been 15 to 20 minutes so far into the series, and we're almost done the whole damn thing. Frags is on a spree of 5 right now. I mean, these guys are just going off right here, Ev, and I'm not going to lie, if this continues, we might be looking at breaking down Bellevue very shortly here.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I mean, you're already in control of the device. It's going to be Jay Will, the carrier, this time, and Frag's not able to break the defense of Conestoga, so this push is going to come up short as they take control of the device. But White Widow already back, trying to find more of that trigger discipline. It's going to pay dividends, but Wrench with the retrade. So this push from Conestoga still continuing. St. Clair, their defense is going to have to come up huge, though. Stunned out from Jay Will. Going to throw some util of his own. Not good to swing onto Wrench, but support coming through from White Widow, shutting down the Conestoga push right at the goal line.
Yeah, and White Widow really making things work on this cross here. As now Jay Will trying to see if they can force any counter pressure as he's trying to position himself through the courtyard side of things. Going to be able to find one on the turnaround, and now look at Jay Will and Santi and Frags and where they're positioned. They need to try to break through this armory side, but Wing on the terrace area going to be able to hold off St. Clair for now.
But the time that Conestoga is wasting right now, you're giving St. Clair a chance to reset. I'm surprised they didn't really try and take advantage of the fact that they had 3 consecutive picks coming through.
Oh, TMC's in a great spot.
Yeah, you're right about that, but Frag's at a better spot, and that trophy going to give him that little bit of cover from the stun, but Conestoga with 2 picks of their own, and they should be able to find this pick here. T able to sneak through the defense. St. Clair not quick enough, but still with that 2-point cushion as we get to the roughly the 2.5 minute mark, and it's going to be Jay Will who's already fiending to get that device back in St. Clair control.
Yeah, and it looks like you just got to be a little bit careful here. You don't want to exactly hand it over to Conestoga right now when given TMC's positioning. He's done such a good job of kind of ratting his way through security on multiple occasions, and that being said, now you wonder if you pay for it, because St. Clair, they're making a charge through the armory side, and it's going to have to be multiple players from Conestoga to try to hold things off, but Santi beats everybody to the punch and scores on B. 5-2 your score line.
Yeah, that might, I don't want to say it's absolutely the dagger, but reestablishing that 3-point lead, less than 2 minutes to go. Looking fairly solid for St. Clair, but Conestoga still with some fight in them. Back in control of the device on this balcony side. So you get to find one and exchange shots with White Widow, but not enough to finish. And again, it's very patient for Conestoga, not this sort of smash mouth style offense that St. Clair has been bringing to the table. And I think the longer you wait, you just give St. Clair more time to set their defense and bring the fight to you instead, because you know when St. Clair gets in these situations, like we might see here, you're just going to find a way to shut you down.
Man, I mean, to me, it's almost like, hey, you give St. Clair time, what are they going to do? They're going to chew clock. And that's exactly what they've been doing for the past 3 minutes. And Frags is going absolutely nuclear. Finds a 3K off of the flank through the courtyard side, and give him a 4th as well. This guy has been simply unbelievable throughout all of tonight. The 5th found through Dojo, and he is single-handedly carving out St. Clair a path. Can't quite find the next pick to the Dojo side, but gives Santee quite the lane to establish for St. Clair. 6th point, all done off the back of Frags and clearing away through courtyards.
If the last one was the dagger, then that one definitely was. I mean, I think this one is nay impossible for Conestoga to come back. And you were right, Patrick. A sweep for St. Clair to open the night, a great way to start. Great confidence booster for this team as they get ready for another series against Bellevue that, all things considered, should be another exciting one as 2 top teams in Varsity Plus going at it. But if St. Clair could tap into this magic they've had in this Conestoga series, we're in for another treat from the St. Clair 8-Cat COD team. Great start to start their evening tonight. A 3-0 win against Conestoga.
Yeah, well, it doesn't get any better than that, but these guys have another matchup waiting for them in Bellevue, and I guess we can kind of start talking about that one. This one all but still running. St. Clair 3-0, Conestoga ACAT, and they move to 9-1, going up against Bellevue for the double-digit win column.
Wouldn't that be something? You start the day in 1, you finish the day in double digits. Be a nice little day at the office for the ACAT team, but we'll sit and wait a little bit. I guess we can preview Bellevue a little bit, or do we save that for closer to? What do you think?
Well, it depends. I mean,
I don't know.
8:30 matchup. We'll see if maybe we take a little bit of a break, and then when we come back, we'll see if we have note on if that series comes through a little bit sooner or not. Usually in doubleheaders like these, there are moments where, yeah, you'll have teams sometimes get in contact with the higher-ups of the other school and think like, hey, you know, we don't want to keep our guys waiting. Yeah,
let's just go.
But it depends. I mean, I don't know. Bellevue might have a matchup that's going on at the same time right now. That's something that actually we might be able to check out. But I think that for now, while we wait for that info, we'll be sending it to a short break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, Saints ACAD versus Bellevue.
To this ball, guiding it down, maybe even get one for the road.
Own standards here in this overtime period because if we can see the goal, it's over for them.
He's doing a lot of damage, but he's got to keep you over. He avoids Ego. Papuaina, no flash, no problem. St. Clair. Taking down 2, taking down 1. Immediately, this should be all she wrote. So
First gamer tag in like 2008. I had the gamer tag Apple I-50.
McBender 91.
Alonso.
Oh, it's a terrible gamer tag. Dan2 Rock 4.
Godrooper. C9 Frosty. I wasn't on C9.
Sock my sock. Like the Pokemon, not like I don't know. Yeah.
Electro Knives. Oof, oof. 2 Z's, by the way. Oof. I don't know what I was thinking.
It was like either Mega Jack or Super Jack and then some numbers when I was like 6 years old on Minecraft.
That's absolutely horrible.
Yo, MP.
Yeah, no, this map is actually crazy, I'm not gonna lie.
Water man.
Yo, Chris God, what the hell are you doing, bro? We got a match, bro, you're late.
Yo, I gotta go.
Yo, log game,
Yo,
bro.
I gotta go. Now I'm good.
My intuition is telling me there'll be better days. I sit in silence and find whenever I meditate, my fears alleviate, my tears evaporate, my faith don't deviate, ideas don't have a date.
What's going on?
Yeah.
How was map 1?
Good. Ups and downs. We're up in the beginning.
As we speak, I'm in peace, no longer scared to die. Most niggas don't believe in God, and so they terrified. It's either that or they be fearing they gon' go to hell. Asking the Father for forgiveness got them overwhelmed.
What I'm most looking forward to is to see like all the boys make it. Div 1 land.
I think it's just a win. Like, our team has been going through a lot of changes. I want to see how far we can push it and see if we can finish third or get like a podium.
Looking forward to competing with tough opponents and having a good time with my team.
I really want to break that top 5, top 4 threshold.
Winning seal.
I'm looking for revenge on CCO.
Getting top 4.
To be honest, nothing. I don't really have anything to look forward to. Next semester is what I'm looking forward to.
I'm looking to win CCO. We only lost that one, so.
What's up, guys? We're here with members of the Overwatch team for a Pokemon Roulette Wheel Challenge. On the wheel, we have different characteristics of Pokemon that they have to hunt down in the open world. The catch is, all the Pokemon that they have to find have been randomized, and they have to catch a Pokemon with that attribute. First one to get 3 is going to win the challenge.
Yay! Yay! W Pokemon! Are you excited for Gen 10, guys?
Yes.
Oh my
Pokemon
God.
Wind and Waves?
Wait, you can't leak that. You're not allowed to leak
Sorry.
that.
Sorry.
But we're gonna get canceled by Pokemon.
Classic. Alright, what do we got here? Oh, chat, this guy is cooked. Oh, pre-fire. Pop it open. Warming up those fingies. And now he's just not missing any shots? That can't be how that works. Moving on. Ooh, obelisk. And chimps and VR helmets. And a legally differentiated enough version of film score.
to this ball. Guy to get down. Maybe even get one for the road.
Oh, standards here. It is overtime period because if they concede a goal, it's over for them.
He's doing a lot of damage, but he's got to keep me over. He avoids Ego. Papuaina, no flash, no problem. Safe, Clair. Force back already so low. Reddick's taking down two, taking down one. Immediately, this should be all she wrote. Soaks with one on the icy. Stand till the whole squad.
First gamer tag in like 2008. I had the gamer tag Apple i50.
McBender 91. Alonso. Oh, it's a terrible gamer tag. Dan 2 Rock 4.
God Rupert. C9 Frosty. I wasn't on C9.
Sock my sock. Like the Pokemon, not like I don't know. Yeah.
Electro knives. Oof, oof. 2 Z's, by the way. Oof. I don't know what I was thinking.
It was like either Mega Jack or Super Jack and then some numbers when I was like 6 years old on Minecraft.
That's absolutely horrible.
Yo, MP.
Yeah, no, this map is actually crazy, I'm not gonna lie.
Water man.
Yo, Chris God. Yo, what the hell are you doing, bro? We got a match, bro. You're late.
Yo. I gotta go.
Yo, log in,
Yo,
bro.
I gotta go. Now I'm good.
My intuition is telling me there'll be better days. I sit in silence and find whenever I meditate, my fears alleviate, my tears evaporate, my faith don't deviate, ideas don't have a date.
What's going on? How was map 1?
Good. Ups and downs. We're up in the beginning.
As we speak, I'm in peace, no longer scared to die. Most niggas don't believe in God, and so they terrified. It's either that or they be fearing they gon' go to hell. Asking the Father for forgiveness got them overwhelmed.
What I'm most looking forward to is to see like all the boys make it.
Div 1 land?
I think it's just a win. Like, our team has been going through a lot of changes. I want to see how far we can push it and see if we can finish third or get like a podium.
Looking forward to competing with tough opponents and having a good time with my team.
I really want to break that top 5, top 4 threshold.
Winning seal.
I'm looking for revenge on CCO.
Getting top 4.
To be honest, nothing. I don't really have anything to look forward to. Next semester is what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking to win CCO. We only lost that one, so.
What's up, guys? We're here with members of the Overwatch team for a Pokemon Roulette Wheel Challenge. On the wheel, we have different characteristics of Pokemon that they have to hunt down in the open world. The catch is, all the Pokemon that they have to find have been randomized, and they have to catch a Pokemon with that attribute. First one to get 3 is going to win the challenge.
Yay! Yay! W Pokemon! Are you excited for Gen 10, guys?
Yes.
Oh my
Pokemon
God.
Wind and Waves?
Wait, you can't leak that. You're not allowed to leak
Sorry.
that.
Sorry.
But we're gonna get canceled by Pokemon.
Classic. Alright, what do we got here? Oh, chap, this guy is cooked. Oh, pre-fire. Pop it open. Warming up those fingies. And now he's just not missing any shots? That can't be how that works. Moving on. Ooh, obelisk. And chimps and VR helmets. And a legally differentiated enough version of film score.
Favor, no more than Calamity though. Left it by, he'll be shut down. The rotation was for Cumberland, but St. Clair breaks. Oh, gaining lead. What the heck is that? Situation now 1-on-1, 1 HP on this solo. 1 bullet is a 4-person 1v5. Stand against the random.
Guy to this ball, guy to get down, maybe even get one for the road.
Standings here in this overtime period because if we can see the goal, it's over for them.
He's doing a lot of damage, but he's got to keep you over. He avoids ego. Bob Waena, no flash, no problem. St. Clair. Force back
first gamer tag in like 2008. I had the gamer tag Apple i50.
McBender 91.
Alonso. Oh, it's a terrible gamer tag. Dan2 Rock 4.
God Rupert. C9 Frosty. I wasn't on C9.
Sock my sock. Like the Pokemon, not like I don't know. Yeah.
Electro Knives. Oof, oof. Two Z's, by the way. Oof. I don't know what I was thinking.
It was like either Mega Jack or Super Jack and then some numbers when I was like 6 years old on Minecraft.
That's absolutely horrible.
Yo, MP.
Yeah, no, this map is actually crazy, I'm not gonna lie.
Water man.
Yo, Chris God. Yo, what the hell are you doing, bro? We got a match, bro. You're late.
Yo. I gotta go.
Yo, log in,
Yo,
bro.
I gotta go. Now I'm good.
My intuition is telling me there'll be better days. I sit in silence and find whenever I meditate, my fears alleviate, my tears evaporate, my faith don't deviate, ideas don't have a date.
What's going on?
I'm growing and
You're-
getting stronger with
How was map
every
one?
breath.
Good.
Bringing
Ups
me
and
closer
downs.
to heaven's door
We're up in the beginning.
As we speak, I'm at peace, no longer scared to die. Most niggas don't believe in God, and so they terrified. It's either that or they be fearing they gon' go to hell. Asking the Father for forgiveness got them overwhelmed.
What I'm most looking forward to is to see like all the boys make it.
Div Winland.
I think it's just a win. Like, our team has been going through a lot of changes. I want to see how far we can push it and see if we can finish third or get like a podium.
Looking forward to competing with tough opponents and having a good time with my team.
I really want to break that top 5, top 4 threshold.
Winning seal.
I'm looking for a revenge on CCO.
Getting top 4.
To be honest, nothing. I don't really have anything to look forward to. Next semester is what I'm looking forward to.
I'm looking to win CCO. We only lost that one, so.
What's up, guys? We're here with members of the Overwatch team for a Pokemon Roulette Wheel Challenge. On the wheel, we have different characteristics of Pokemon that they have to hunt down in the open world. The catch is, all the Pokemon that they have to find have been randomized, and they have to catch a Pokemon with that attribute. First one to get 3 is going to win the challenge.
Yay! Yay! W Pokemon! Are you excited for Gen 10, guys?
Yes.
Oh my
Pokemon
God.
Wind and Waves?
Wait, you can't leak that. You're not allowed to leak
Sorry.
that.
Sorry.
But we're gonna get canceled by Pokemon.
Classic. Alright, what do we got here? Oh, chat, this guy is cooked. Oh, pre-fire. Pop it open. Warming up those fingies. And now he's just not missing any shots? That can't be how that works. Moving on. Oh, obelisk. And chimps in VR helmets. And a legally differentiated enough version of film score.
to this ball. Guy to get down. Maybe even get one for the road.
Standards here in this overtime period because we can see the goal. It's over for them.
He's doing a lot of damage, but he's got to keep you over. He avoids Ego. Babuena, no flash, no problem. Safe Clair. Force back already so low. Reddick's taking down two, taking down one. Immediately, this should be all she wrote. Soaks with one on the icy. Stand, kill the whole squad.
First gamer tag in like 2008. I had the gamer tag Apple i50.
McBender 91.
Alonso. Oh, it's a terrible gamer tag. Dan2 Rock 4.
Godrooper. C9 Frosty. I wasn't on C9.
Sock my sock. Like the Pokemon, not like I don't know. Yeah.
Electro Knives. Oof, oof. 2 Z's, by the way. Oof. I don't know what I was thinking.
It was like either Mega Jack or Super Jack and then some numbers when I was like 6 years old on Minecraft.
That's absolutely horrible.
Yo, MP.
Yeah, no, this map is actually crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
Water man.
Yo, Chris God, what the hell are you doing, bro? We got a match, bro. You're late.
Yo. I gotta go.
Yo, lock in,
Yo,
bro.
I gotta go. Now I'm good.
My intuition is telling me there'll be better days. I sit in silence and find whenever I meditate, my fears alleviate, my tears evaporate, my faith don't deviate, ideas don't have a date.
What's going on? How was map 1?
Good. Ups and downs. We're up in the beginning.
As we speak, I'm in peace, no longer scared to die. Most niggas don't believe in God, and so they terrified. It's either that or they be fearing they gon' go to hell. Asking the Father for forgiveness got them overwhelmed.
What I'm most looking forward to is to see like all the boys make it.
Div 1 land?
I think it's just a win. Like, our team has been going through a lot of changes. I want to see how far we can push it and see if we can finish third or get like a podium.
Looking forward to competing with tough opponents and having a good time with my team.
I really want to break that top 5, top 4 threshold.
Winning seal.
I'm looking for revenge on CCO.
Getting top 4?
To be honest, nothing. I don't really have anything to look forward to. Next semester is what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking to win CCO. We only lost that one, so.
What's up, guys? We're here with members of the Overwatch team for a Pokemon Roulette Wheel Challenge. On the wheel, we have different characteristics of Pokemon that they have to hunt down in the open world. The catch is, all the Pokemon that they have to find have been randomized, and they have to catch a Pokemon with that attribute. First one to get 3 is going to win the challenge.
Yay! Yay! W Pokemon! Are you excited for Gen 10, guys?
Yes.
Oh my
Pokemon
God.
Wind and Waves?
Wait, you can't leak that. You're not allowed to leak
Sorry.
that.
Sorry.
But we're gonna get canceled by Pokemon.
Classic. Alright, what do we got here? Oh, chat, this guy is cooked. Oh, pre-fire. Pop it open. Warming up those fingies. And now he's just not missing any shots? That can't be how that works. Moving on. Ooh, obelisk. And chimps in VR helmets. And a legally differentiated enough version of film score.
Nothing more than calamity, though. Left and by, guilty shut down. The rotation was for Cumberland, but St. Clair breaks. Oh, baiting me. What the heck is that? Situation now 101, 1 HP on this solo. 1 bullet is a 4-person 1v5. Stand against the rest.
Guy to this ball, guiding it down, maybe even get one for the road.
Own standards here in this overtime period because if we concede a goal, it's over for them.
He's doing a lot of damage, but he's got to keep you over. He avoids Ego.
Bob Waena, no flash, no problem. St. Clair.
Force back already so low. Redx taking down 2, taking down 1. Immediately, this should be
first gamer tag in like 2008. I had the gamer tag Apple I-50.
McBender 91.
Alonso. Oh, it's a terrible gamer tag. Dan2 Rock 4.
God Rupert. C9 Frosty. I wasn't on C9.
Sock my sock. Like the Pokemon, not like I don't know. Yeah.
Electro Knives. Oof, oof. 2 Z's, by the way. Oof. I don't know what I was thinking.
It was like either Mega Jack or Super Jack and then some numbers when I was like 6 years old on Minecraft.
That's absolutely horrible.
Yo, MP.
Yeah, no, this map is actually crazy, I'm not gonna lie.
Water man.
Yo, hey Scott, what the hell are you doing, bro? We got a match, bro. You're late.
Yo, I gotta go.
Yo, log in,
Yo,
bro.
I gotta go. Now I'm good.
I like this tone. Yeah. My intuition is telling me there'll be better days. I sit in silence and find whenever I meditate, my fears alleviate, my tears evaporate, my faith don't deviate, ideas don't have a date.
How was map 1? Good. Ups and downs. We're up in the beginning.
As we speak, I'm at peace, no longer scared to die. Most niggas don't believe in God, so they terrified. It's either that or they be fearing they gon' go to hell. Asking the Father for forgiveness got them overwhelmed.
What I'm most looking forward to is to see like all the boys make it.
Div Winland.
I think it's just a win. Like our
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Back for the second of our doubleheader tonight. Bellevue University against St. Clair ACAD, and I think it's going to be a good series. We were taking a look at Bellevue's lineup and their history, and they're coming into this game off of a pretty solid win streak. But with the way Saints played in series number 1, they might be in for a tough night as well.
Yeah, they definitely might be. Bellevue coming in at 8-1, just like how we were previously pre-Conestoga ACAD. Now moving to 9-1. This is our chance to crack into double digits here, Ev, and I think we'll have maps shortly. But first off, let's break down sort of how that Conestoga game went. Just a little brief overview for those who missed it. A 3-0 sweep. Members like Santi and Frags definitely showing up in bunches with kills, especially in Overload as well. As now, getting into the next matchup, gonna have to lean on everybody for this one, as this roster in Bellevue has had quite the consistent season, as the members of Get Sauced On, Ace, Scamron, and also Frog Bloke have been putting on a show in this division.
Yeah, it's really been St. Clair ACAD and Bellevue. That's sort of like your 1 and 2 right there. So big test for this ACAD team, but like we said, if they can tap into what they, are really moving like in series number 1, they should be okay. The only loss for Bellevue coming against ODU, the Monarchs, who I believe also took our COD ACAD team down as well.
Yeah,
Our
that would be
loss. True. So both these teams coming in fairly evenly matched in terms of raw skill. We'll get a good look once we get into the server, but again, it really comes down to, I think, how St. Clair is going to come out in this first game. They started a little bit slow on Hardpoint to start the Conestoga series. They let them hang around a little bit. They ended up taking control and dominated for the rest of that game. There was a little bit of an awkward period within those first 1 to 2 minutes where it looked like it might not go the way Saints were expecting before they were able to, get a hold on it. But with a team that's as good as Bellevue, you might not have as much wiggle room there like you would against Conestoga.
Yeah, you would expect so. Now, I will say, given hindsight, right, Rihanna White Widow was just giving me some info that apparently when we did lose to ODU, which I believe was in sweeping fashion as well, we were apparently playing with subs at the time on the ACAD roster. So this, when we were comparing the fact that Bellevue, again, I don't know, they could have been the same case for them. If it wasn't, right, this is definitely key to point out. Now, I don't know if there were any starters that were on the lineup against ODU. That I did not get for confirmation. But regardless, looking at how this map pool has looked so far tonight for St. Clair, there is one thing I can say when you have a close matchup like this from Bellevue. You have, Bellevue, a full hour and a half to go back and take notes on what you were going to be looking at before you get into your matchup tonight. So definitely some notes that Bellevue could have been taking from the Condors ACAD series that they can have potentially the jump on this St. Clair ACAD roster heading into this matchup.
Yeah, and you were asking about Bellevue and how they performed in that one against ODU. They were playing with one sub in that game. So
there you go. I guess this can be said for both sides then. Can we check actually if that's the case? Yeah, we can check our matchup then, see if any of these starters were part of that ODU sweep. Pulling up right here. What do we got?
The only starter was Rihanna. Wait, Widow.
Okay.
So everybody else besides that was the sub. So take that for what you will. But regardless, the ACAT team's back on screen. Full roster this time, no subs this time. They're going to be ready to go, and we'll hopefully get maps fairly soon for this series. But expecting a similar spread from what we saw last time. We're probably going to see Colossus again. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Blackheart, Hardpoint coming through, especially if Saints have pick number 1. So a similar map pool, but maybe we'll get some exposure this time, or maybe some Scar, just to change it up a little bit, really make some of these SMG players for the Saints a bit more uncomfortable than they usually would be, but time will tell, unfortunately, in this case.
I mean, you want to really take them to somewhere that's going to be dominated by more long-range engagements. Look no further than Raid for your S&D might be a lock for Bellevue to think of kind of how to get these Saints players a little more awkward and positionally less aware than what they would be like on these maps that they have definitely shown against us in that Condors ACAT series to be strong on, right? This is, again, huge advantage for Bellevue if they've taken the correct steps in making their homework, their thesis paper on this team, if you will. But very close from getting into matchup here. Was meant to go at 8:30, so I have to imagine, regardless whether we get maps or not until the first game starts, you got to think game 1 looming. I think these players have gotten prepared to the point where I think they're ready to go, Ev. I mean, coming off of some hot series that we just saw here, there's no better way to jump straight into round 2 than getting out of round 1 with a breeze.
And right after we saw, they just went right back into scrimming and right back into practicing. So they're trying not to come into this one cold. They want to try and make sure that momentum is still, peaking at the right time. And like we said, I think this first map is really going to be the telling sign as to how they're coming prepped for this series. But all things point to another good one for St. Clair. At least that's what I'm expecting. I think maybe at the worst this one goes to map 4 or 5, but I still think St. Clair is going to take it, and we just got word that it is going to be Colossus for map number 1, a map that they handled pretty well on S&D and put them on their best game mode in Hardpoint. I think they should have that one hopefully in the bag. Knock on wood.
I'm getting word right now, sorry for the blank pause, but that Prod was telling me we got Den, SND, and Exposure for Overload as well after. So
Den Overload again.
Sorry, Den, SND, Exposure.
Den, SND.
Overload, yes. Okay.
Exposure, Overload.
So I was going to say, and we were bringing it up that, hey, you know what, if you want to make St. Clair a little more uncomfortable, maybe you take them to somewhere that they haven't been so far, at least tonight, and haven't had a good track record on. Exposure, a good map pick in general to kind of change things up a little bit. But Den and Colossus to start out, the real question going to be if St. Clair can get up 2-0, is that too late? That by the time you take them to Exposure, they're already mentally chopping you.
Well, that's a good start for St. Clair. Santi's going to find a util kill right off rip. They're going to be on site first and going to reestablish some control as they get a chance to set their defense now. St. Clair had a really good start on Hardpoint against Conestoga, and this is a much better start actually than what it was against Conestoga, where they just really took over early. But Santi, a nice double to keep things alive for a little bit. Frags on the refrag is good to find it, so hardpoint is clear for now. Saints with a brief lead.
Yeah, it's looking good right now so far for the Saints, and this is such a tough position to hold as Sawston going to walk over and see if he can find two, but Frag's going to be quick to shut him down. Santi with some repressuring on the atrium side of things. Ace going to find one, but the retrade is instant, and Frags is still sitting on this overlook positioning here with J-Will covering the cargo side.
Saints looking really locked in right now, really solid on getting refrags. That's the one thing I'm noticing right now. They're doing very well at finding trades and rotating back in to find more picks. I mean, you have Bellevue in a position of power right now. Frags trying to break his way into the site, going to use the pistol, not going to work, but this is the one area of struggle that the Saints do still have, is breaking onto the point, and right now Bellevue, good chance for them to run the score up a little bit.
Definitely here is Gill. Gonna be in the matchup for Frog Bloke this time. Not sure if it's just a change in the gamer tags or a sub, but at the end of the day, they are still playing St. Clair quite close here thus far, and taking the fight to the Saints ACAD team is now Frags. Working his way on the underpass of Atrium is just simply too good to be stopped. White Widow with a quick snap of the head, but J-Will in support has a little bit of a flank going right now and would be huge for his lifeboat / wreckage control if he can start to try to find some picks together with that AR long range.
Big pick to open that up. You lose that one member for Bellevue. That just lets you take that man advantage if you're St. Clair. Now, if you're Bellevue, you lose that guy far back on the storage container. Where's your support at that point? It's just instantly eliminated. Now St. Clair getting a chance to really run things on their side, and no surprises, once they seem to get control of a site, it's really tough for them to give it up. And we've seen so many examples of how they're rotating and how they're able to find these refrags. And Bellevue, they're doing a good job of getting back in, but St. Clair, they're just playing on a different level right now.
Yeah, they definitely are, and you can start to see sort of almost like how that Conestoga game had started, right? I mean, they are just kind of running away with it. And Bellevue, the onus on them to try to crack down on some of these rotations as point swapping over. Going to be that atrium side or that lounge side is now both teams looking to fight for control as J-Will trying to enter on. St. Clair notably having some troubles earlier, as they've talked about, when it comes to breaking into these hills, as when it comes to holding them, very much the opposite of the spectrum. So going to be interesting to see how Bellevue can crack this hold that St. Clair have going right now.
It just seems that whenever St. Clair, whenever they lose somebody, again, it comes back to the rotations and the refrags. So good at getting somebody back on site when they need to. Bellevue, they're setting full house, right? They're setting all of their players to find these hard points, so they just can't seem to hold it. St. Clair using that ultra-aggressive playstyle to make things very uncomfortable for Bellevue, and even when they take control of the site, it's not for very long. St. Clair able to get back in very, very quickly. Now they're rotating back. The final hard point of this rotation, P5 already, or nope, sorry, back to the one in Atrium, going back to spot number 1. Bellevue get their first frags, trying to slide and find one. Not good for it, but his teammates are in support. Santi getting it done, but lots of chaos happening on the hard point right now. Both teams fighting tooth and nail to get control.
Yes. Claiming one as Sauce is going to have a second for Bellevue, and this is huge right here. If they can just hold for a little bit longer, but immediately blink and you miss it, St. Clair. Their clears, they've been looking real good so far. This one has the potential to be played closer, but again, Bellevue, they need to pick things up a little bit and find ways to slow St. Clair down, because quite frankly, these have been big points picked up through plays like frags down in the atrium side, as he's looking for a triple, and so much space created from a player like him, and it was pivotal in that Conestoga match, showing that he's still red hot.
Yeah, that was a really good showing from the Conestoga series, and he's picked up right where he's left off, and the Saints overall have done a good job. I mean, that was their worst hold on a hard point in the game so far, but still a decent cushion for St. Clair, and that's a big pick coming in from White Widow. There's a lot of pressure being put on the site from Bellevue, but St. Clair will weather the storm and stay in control. About to eclipse that 100-point mark. Bellevue on the outside looking in. St. Clair, really good job of holding this hard point, but Santee falls to the util, but Saints still have numbers on the point and are just absolutely shredding through the reserves of Bellevue right now.
Yeah, I mean, Santee, 2011 has been putting on quite the show right now for his team in terms of the fragging power, as all of these players, honestly, have been doing just well in terms of carrying their own weight and some going above and beyond. As right now, Bellevue look to establish a little more pressure on the lifeboat side of things, as now St. Clair spawning near the cargo areas. It's going to be a little bit of a 2-2 split. Whitewood are trying to get something going near the wreckage side as Bluegill's in an angle that needs to be cleared out. Trophy system goes down, the re-swing, but the timing is just back and forth right now, and unfortunately no one can find a clean pickup. J-Will gonna have some crossed pressure as Bluegill now takes the swing on through. Gets cleaned up from both players right here from St. Clair, just looming in the back, and it seems like, again, no one from Bellevue able to clear this hold that they have right now.
There's good patience from Bluegill, though, to just delay him falling. You give a chance for Bellevue's reserves to come back in, but it doesn't matter when Saints are in such a good position to find these players rotating back in and just make life so difficult for Bellevue right now. And St. Clair really starting to put a leg up on Bellevue. They are playing very, very strong right now. So hard for anything to get going for this Bellevue side. Bluegill is good to find frags, but when you have J-Will in response, waiting for that refrag, there's not much you can do. Saints still in control of the point. Over 200 points now, slowly making our way to the end of this hardpoint match. Saints very much in control.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like a little bit of a wash at this point. Bellevue, they were playing St. Clair close at the start, but, man, it just really feels like the team, as a collective, have just simply stepped up to the plate here. I mean, look at the numbers across the board. Everybody eclipsing 20 kills at this point. And, man, St. Clair, you have something special cooking for you, and if this is any start to show how this series could be going, then it might be a quick day at the office for everyone involved on this stream.
Yeah, and I mean, I was coming into this one, I was sure this was going to be a much more competitive series. Obviously, we have a small sample size to start, where I think S&D is really where things are going to get interesting, like we were saying against Conestoga. But even if Bellevue takes S&D and we have to go to another hardpoint match, if Saints can win Overload, that's probably GG's right there, because the way they're playing on hardpoint, this is not a team I want to face again in a mode like this. Not at the level they're playing right now.
No, I mean, it just simply looks like they just are not able to move them at all. J-Will is just sitting here getting whatever value he wants. The trade comes through, and that's going to be all she wrote for hardpoint. St. Clair, they take Colossus in dominant fashion.
And yeah, I think that's really the only way to say it. It was like, this was they didn't get as many points as Conestoga did, this Bellevue team, and on paper this was the better team coming into this series. So St. Clair, like you said, rising to the challenge, rising to the moment, and they are putting on a very complete game as an entire team. Everybody, like you said, eclipsing 20 kills, a complete team effort to start off this Bellevue series. A really good thing to see from the St. Clair.
I mean, I suppose I'm just more or less shocked, really, more than anything. I mean, I did not expect this to be the outcome of game number one, and who knows, maybe St. Clair just pulled up and just punched Bellevue straight in the mouth. But now, Bellevue, you gotta take a second here, reset, and see what you can bring in SND. Like I said, if given how hardpoint just went, if we're talking about just from coordination, rotation, etc., if Bellevue want this to go at least to 4, S&D's a gimme. You gotta take it right now.
You need this one. Or Overload. But I think
it's almost as if it's like the same with our varsity premier team, our varsity, our number 1 team, right? It's just, again, it just seems like when you have teams that are as strong as this, that, you know, we have the privilege casting, it really is these narratives that you can build that are simply insane to think about, but just how true they are. It just shows you how scary of a team, or teams that we have in Call of Duty here.
It's a good organization, just top to bottom. You know, you have everybody just able to contribute on so many high levels, and the ACAT team, like I said, they're putting on a show tonight for everybody on the stream, and that's what you want to see, especially against, you know, a team that we suspected were going to give them some issues tonight. And again, small sample size, we've only had one map out of a potential 5, but I feel a little bit better going into this S&T compared to what happened at the end of the Conestoga game, where there was a little bit closer. It was a slow start at the beginning. It took a little bit for St. Clair to really get their feet underneath them and find, you know, the way forward. But that last one, they were just dialed in from the start. Like, I don't even know if Bellevue had the lead at any point. Maybe, like, briefly at the very start when it was, like, 2-0, but...
Maybe in, like, P1, but yeah, like,
if
other
anything,
than that.
It was just all St. Clair in Hardpoint, and hopefully they can continue that into S&D on Den, a map they did fairly well on Overload, so hopefully they can keep that streak going on S&D where they swept Conestoga in 6-0 fashion previously.
Man, I mean, I kind of sit here and think, like, the big plays of that one as well. Santi on the entrance side, you had Frags having that, 5 or 6K, clearing out the dojo area as he comes through the courtyard side of things and just wipes Conestoga ACAT off the face of the earth. But now, different game mode, and you got to respond. And so far, Bellevue, they're showing that they know how to do that right now. Bluegill and company working their way through the helipad side, and White Widow, the last one remaining. And I think you can kind of start to see the fact that, yes, this team, they've definitely hit the reset button. Maybe first game a little bit of a mulligan.
Yeah, I think the strat is just let's just come out as aggressive as they were against us. I mean, you saw just how quickly they overwhelmed the reserves of St. Clair on this B site, and there's just wasn't much that they can do. And unfortunately, White Widow not able to clutch up the 1v3, so Bellevue taking the 1-0 lead in S&D. Let's see if St. Clair can respond in kind. They get a chance to attack, but if Bellevue's going to win, it's doing things like that. It's just coming out firing, not giving St. Clair a chance to find a refrag or find a trade, and just overwhelming them with sheer numbers.
Yeah, man, I think the number one area where teams sometimes fall behind as well is maybe you give them too much respect, too much space. You need to disrespect the St. Clair lineup. You need to imagine that they're not better than you, because at the end of the day, you don't usually beat teams that you mentally think have the edge on you skill-wise, and so you got to really try to find a way to ground them to your level or below. And right now, J-Will showing a nice little reminder of who's currently 9-1 in NACE, albeit Bellevue definitely more than capable of showing some grit as they have a similar record.
Last alive now for Bellevue, but short-lived as St. Clair find their way through. They attack this A side and come out equal back again. Frags, good job securing that one. Nice little transfer onto the second. And again, what did St. Clair do to get through it? They go aggressive. You know, you reverse sides, just go aggressive, send the house, you find the opening pick to create more space for you, and good things happen when you find those space-taking kills. And now we'll see if St. Clair can build off of this momentum that they gained after that last round.
Right, that was something that Santi touched on, is that he thinks they're really good at taking space when they have gaps that they've been allowed or earned, as now Frags. Swinging around the courtyard, sees the head of one and now has to try to back off, but Santi elsewhere going to be able to pick up first blood near the dojo side as he's going to get taken down. AC and Bluegill with kills in a pair, as now the 3v2 with man advantage. You can just try to isolate. I was going to say Sauceon had a little bit of a flank going, but it's going to get shut down. Bomb gets planted at B, but now in a 2v2 scenario, St. Clair, how do you retake here?
You got to be careful how you play this. I mean, Frags do at least have somebody in support, and that's just bad positioning from Ace. Completely wide open, and White Widow will take advantage of the other one and get the defuse as well. A little bit of a miscue from Bellevue there, but St. Clair will take advantage and find the defuse, and they keep the good times rolling. They take the lead.
Man, you know, just like that, blink and you miss it. First round happens so fast, and St. Clair immediately respond with 2 back, and quite well done from St. Clair. Frags, he just takes the shed positioning and he just finds one, not even looking in the general area. I mean, I get it, maybe you're a little bit superstitious of a flank coming through, but at this level, you need to make sure that the angles that you're holding are not liable to any crosses that can't be covered from your teammate. And unfortunately, Frags had the perfect lineup there, and no one was able to help.
Yeah, St. Clair will take those. Just doesn't get any easier than that. And such a critical position, just can't let that happen if you're Bellevue. See if St. Clair can put more pressure onto this B side. It looks like that's where this execute is going to come through as stun goes out. Santi will avoid. Soston waiting, and St. Clair, they lose one but respond with another. So we're still knotted up at 3 apiece, but Bellevue, brief man advantage, and they're looking for more now as Frags, once again, in a 1v3.
Well, we've seen him do it before. He's just going to try to isolate some picks, and I mean, there's one. He's on a streak of side, but they know he's got to come through this driveway side of things. There's no way. He does not do it again. Last one on the flank. The prone position. He sees him, but he's going to be able to get up and find the third. Are you kidding me? Frags going ballistic in round number 4. Puts St. Clair atop 3-1.
You asked if he was able to do it again, and I wasn't sure he was going to get that reload off in time, but canceling it at the perfect time, gets the spray transfer as well. I mean, this guy is just absolutely ice cold right now for this ACAD team. 8-1, and that is just demoralizing if you're Bellevue. You had them on the ropes, they just couldn't get it done, and now St. Clair back on the defense.
And I mean, am I like missing something? Because again, I feel like, you know, it's the same thing with Conestoga when they got exposed in the 3v1. Guys, we can just play together.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems like 3 players just kill chasing. And they're gonna they get punished for that. Because Frags, he is a player of that level that will make you pay when you do stuff like that. Is Scammon going to find the first, and it's at least good from Bellevue being able to cut their losses and move on as you need to in those situations. You just got to take next. Bomb planted on the B side. Those Saints players working in through Dojo. A couple missed shots on from Get Sauced on, but the cross is good, and Bellevue, they make do on their hold.
Well, now that 1v3 clutch looking a lot better now for St. Clair, because Bellevue coming out and reestablishing that this is a team that can also come to play in S&D, and that little cushion going to pay dividends for St. Clair. You still have a lead, but that's another really good execute onto this B site from Bellevue. That seems to be the one that they're really liking more out of the two. And St. Clair, they're going to have to clean up this defense on this B side if they want to hope to come out of the series with a win.
Right, and Bellevue definitely playing this one a lot closer. I mean, you take the 1v3, flip it right now. They'd be up 3-2.
Yeah.
So you really have to start thinking about St. Clair realistically only in the situation from hero plays from Frags. I mean, the guy is 9-2 right now, had a streak of 7. He's really been the big highlight spot for this ACAD team. Bomb down on B, though. St. Clair going to see if they can make right on their attacks on Dojo.
Well, he's had the man advantage now. This should be a good spot for Santi if Ace doesn't clear him out here. He's going to find one, but Santi will answer with 2, so I'll have to Scammon now, but Frags down for the count. This Bellevue trying to see if they can have somebody clutch up with a nice little clip of their own. Scammon, he's coming through this Dojo side. Looking to maybe shade towards the outside, but they have eyes on. Santi is going to give the intel, and they're going to clean him up. St. Clair, 4-2. Good hold on this B side.
Yeah, now this is where things are starting to get dangerous here. White Widow has the cross, and we're 2 rounds away from moving on to an overload. And yes, while it is on exposure, again, like we talked about earlier, St. Clair with this much momentum, I don't really think it matters at that point what the map is. You need something more than just a map to simply change how you're playing against this team. Because right now, play stylistically wise, when the gunfights matter the most, ACAD's the one getting through on top.
Well, this is the side that Bellevue has been very strong on. So if I'm Bellevue, I'm really looking to make sure this round goes our way. You're on your favorable side. You're going on your favorable site as well. All roads need to come out on the end here. Santi doesn't get the stick to land, but damage is done and intel gained for this ACAD team as Frag's the first to fall, but 2 in response for the ACAD team. Santi still holding this position near the shed. He's going to try and get in, not able to find it, and Bellevue come out with a win to keep it close.
And that is absolutely huge because St. Clair had great positioning around the courtyard side of things. Both players going to get chopped down. And Bluegill, he had the flank covered. Takes a little bit of a 180 and finds the next. Great heads-up play by Bluegill and gives Bellevue the not the equalizer, but within one, and gets rid of the safety net that St. Clair had established.
Yeah, they can reestablish it again here. It seems like both teams have done a really solid job on these attacker rounds, and I can't see B not being the call here. It just seems that's been the go-to for either side, besides the one that St. Clair got a little bit frisky on and went to this A side. But look at Frags now. Popping up on this balcony, maybe try and find somebody on the side of Bellevue lurking, and that's a lurk that doesn't go through for the ACAD side as Jay Will not coming up with one, and Frags falling as well. So ACAD gambles a little bit. It does not come up their way. They get the bomb down, but now with Santi in this 1v3, surely it doesn't happen again, right, Patrick?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, that's how you play a 1v3. There you go. The second somebody takes a swing, the other two, they need to be able to converge on the player. Play for the info that you have. And Bellevue, they're going to be able to now find their equalizer. They take two on the bounce, and they show us that, yes, 8-1 speaks for itself. This is a close game on SND. And they're definitely drowning out the hard point. That was a complete and utter domination.
I don't hate the play call from St. Clair there. You try and get a little bit, you get creative, sending two guys in mid and maybe try and find it. But that play that Jay Will had where he was behind two and just couldn't get the angle to find them, that would have been the difference maker right there. St. Clair is able to find those two picks. I think they come out of that round with a win. But that lurk, that gamble does not pay off, and now you're playing in a very tough spot right now. You don't want to get Bellevue on this match point as they're heading into a defense that's started to pick itself up a little bit in these later rounds. A good start for the St. Clair side. 2 picks to start. Bomb does get planted, so time is ticking, but the pinch play also coming in for St. Clair.
Yeah, Santi around the Armory side going to be able to try to chop down one as...
That's it.
That's
it.
That's going to do it.
Yeah. Bit of an anticlimactic end to the round, but St. Clair, they got a much-needed round win, sending it to match point SCC. One more defense for them. Let's see if they can get it done one last time.
And I mean, again, it's kind of just blink and you miss it. This Armory player going to be able to find one as the counter swing through the terrace side also happens. And there you go. It's just St. Clair forming a pincer maneuver on Bellevue, and just like that, we have 5-4. The last time we saw a SMD game this close, a 6-5 when our main team went up against the Condors main roster. You remember that, a 6-5 on exposure.
Yeah.
That was definitely one for the ride home to talk about. As now, Bellevue going to see if they can maybe dish out the same treatment. Scammering going to be able to find one along this A side, and St. Clair, they definitely have seemed like they've wanted to change up the lane in which they attack from, and maybe they pay for that decision. Ace find another, swings through the window. All of a sudden, White Widow finding 2 quick picks. Rihanna with a huge play. It's going to be able to give St. Clair just a little more, or at least her a little more breathing room, but in a 1v2 scenario, it is Bellevue isolating these positions. I think they have a decent inkling that with labs being not cleared out, that's most likely going to be the spot that needs to be checked. As the Armory side, unfortunately, the battle through Throne not being won out. In Bellevue, they tie things up 5 apiece.
And that's a tough situation, unfortunately. You don't have Bomb, Bellevue in full control. You don't really have to do anything fancy. Just make sure you don't lose sight of that A site, and they're just going to come through with the win, I guess. I guess the clutches only come in small bunches in these types of situations, unfortunately. But last round of S&D, it all comes down to this. St. Clair on the attacker side. Can't see them really changing it up now. You'd like to see them maybe hit this B side, but I guess I was wrong. They're shading over towards this A, but it looks like Bellevue, they might have an inkling of where St. Clair is trying to send this.
Yeah, it seems like Ace definitely knows, and a huge headshot hit there and through the wall. J-Will will go down as Scameron and company, they're able to scramble across to try to fight these roof players as Santi able to pick up one. Bluegill taking some fights around the armory side of things. Frag says, you know what, just screw it. Let me just slide through and see if I can find a gap. The stun comes through, though, and you got to condition St. Clair on these takes. It will not happen. Bellevue, they find the picks that matter. They take SND, and they show that they are very much capable of taking our Saints off of sweep territory.
Yeah, that's a tough one right there. I thought they were able to get it done, but Bellevue just hanging on a little bit too long. I think that one round, like we said, where you fail on that backstab, you fail on that lurk, I think that's the difference maker in this game. I think if St. Clair takes that, they would have ended up finding a win in S&D, but it's all right. You know, you still got your safety net of Hardpoint again on map number 4, which again, I think St. Clair definitely looking forward to a potential rematch of Hardpoint, a mode they're a bit more comfortable on, and they get another comfortable mode with Exposure Overload coming up, but Bellevue definitely some life. St. Clair need to reestablish their control and shut them down right here.
Right, I would imagine that the exposure pick would most likely be their map. So at the end of the day, that means that St. Clair most likely picked into Den S&D, and unfortunately it didn't go their way. So if Bellevue all of a sudden respond from a hardpoint loss with 2 straight maps, then we're getting into very dangerous territory of potentially a Game 5. I mean, maybe they're a really good hardpoint team too, and they just simply were blinded by the lights that were in the beginning. So who knows? But for now, this matchup has definitely gotten very interesting and has spurred up a lot of questions and has definitely woken me up a little bit, because it's not every day that you see a COD game here at St. Clair that isn't a dominant sweep.
And it's just, we're just spoiled by talent. I think that's the only reason for that at this point. But it is good sometimes to face some adversity when you're at such a high level and are always expecting to find a way out. And this is sort of what we were expecting, right? Like this is another really good team that St. Clair is coming up against, and we knew it wasn't going to be easy out of the gate, but see if they can rally back from this adversity. I think after seeing their overload at the start, obviously we haven't seen what Bellevue's is looking like in response. I do think St. Clair is going to come out and find their way forward, but clearly Bellevue proving that they can hang around a little bit. But again, we'll see.
Yeah, we definitely will. And it's, you know, it's not easy to predict how this one's going to work. Obviously, we saw St. Clair manipulate spawns very well against the Condors ACAD side of things on Den, and this is Exposure, another map where you have the exact same thing happening, especially when you tailor to the solar side of things, when we're looking at manipulating spawns through either switch yards or water pumps, right? And I think that, again, depending on the half, St. Clair, they definitely know how to score in bundles, and they know how to do those spawn manipulations just like our varsity premier team knows as well, and it's going to definitely be key in terms of the what's the word I'm looking for? The teamwork, then, and also just the synchronous play styles that we know they're capable of to get it done. The chemistry, if you will, that they had over Bellevue in that hardpoint game. That's kind of where I'm at in terms of what you can look forward to in Overload, and I think that with Bellevue definitely giving St. Clair a little more of a wake-up slap, albeit in 6-5 fashion. Who knows, maybe that was what they needed to get over the hurdle.
Yeah, it was definitely a very winnable round of S&D for St. Clair. I mean, I think, again, like, it's the kind of thing where one round going the other way or, like, one pick coming through, like, makes a huge difference. And I think if you remove the 1v3, that probably goes a 6-4 for Bellevue. Like, really. So, just a couple rounds that St. Clair needed and couldn't get lead to that, but still a chance to rebound. They're definitely not out of this series yet. Overload will be a real test for them to see if they can fight their way back in, but wait a little bit longer for that, is just waiting for both teams to get in. It's got to be an issue somewhere. Usually it doesn't take this long to get back into the next game of a Call of Duty series, but we will stand by and wait and just get ready to see the next game.
I was gonna say, you know, it's been a while since we've had a COD stream last this long. Even for a doubleheader, we've been on now for a good like 2 hours, I think, as of right now. We've been going strong. So, sure, albeit a little bit of a break, but that really speaks to the fashion of how these games usually go. Considering we're saying that, and it's only because Bellevue have taken one game out of already 5 that have been played. But I'm getting the word from Prod. Wait no longer, fret no more. We are going into game. We got exposure. We got overload. It's going to be an interesting one, Evan.
The classic caster trick of whenever the game is taking a while to get in, you always mention it, and then somehow they just find a way to start the game. Just classic, you know. They don't teach you that. But I don't know why you're looking confused right now.
Well, I'm wondering where the transition is. No, I'm just kidding. Look,
hey, that's not. Hey, I think
they're getting it. Hey, there we go. Everything being ready and willing to go. Look, we were sitting on that for a while, but hey, right now, Bellevue, St. Clair, they're getting into it, and they need to because this one here going to determine who's going to be taking series point heading into the hardpoint game that will be on, if I think it was.
I don't think we were actually told what map 4 or 5 was, so we'll get intel on that when the time. Well, I can check. I don't think so. They only told us 3.
Well, maybe they expected it to be done in 3, but
I guess
that not being the case any longer, is it?
Okay, Blackheart hardpoint. So, hey, if it's Blackheart hardpoint, then I think St. Clair. This one feels very critical because yes, you know, judging by their last performance, and given the fact that they're confident in their abilities on Blackheart, they want to make sure they get this one done. But struggling a little bit right now. They came out of the gate firing, but Bellevue is come out with some plays of their own. St. Clair focusing on this goal line defense. They lose some reserves, and this push still going for Bellevue, and they're going to find it after coming out on the other side of it.
Yeah, and this is definitely the side that Bellevue's on right now, the easier side to attack on out of the two, from what I've seen from the games I've covered so far on VO7. So it's no surprise right here to see them in the lead. The question just being how much and how long exactly. Santi going to be able to find 2, and all of a sudden Frag's going to even up the scoring. And I would say that for every point that is scored on this side, you can pretty much double your expectation for when these sides swap here. So every point comes at a premium for St. Clair on this other side when they have to score in the low salt pumps areas.
Well, I liked how quickly St. Clair was able to respond with the score. Sometimes you feel an overload. It just seems like one team is really just in control of the momentum the entire time, and the other team just can't really find a way back in. Obviously, the sample size is a little bit tainted there because, you know, our varsity team is very, very strong on overload, and ACAT team also doing a good job, but this one definitely seems like it has the potential to go back and forth. St. Clair do a good job on this harder side, but Bellevue definitely still some time to make things happen. Overload device back in the middle, but St. Clair farming up already, and that's going to be J-Will taking control.
Yeah, and they have a decent gunfight right here if Ace can go down, and now all of a sudden J-Will being the runner, and St. Clair, they're looking very confident, albeit on a map that they said they weren't too confident on, as exposure doing wonders for them right now. It just seems like Bellevue is a step behind.
Well, they got a clear lane to go right now. I mean, J-Will once again the runner, and
halftime.
They're just going to find it. It's halftime. I think while we were yapping, they found number 3, and blink and you miss it already at halftime, similar to what we saw against Conestoga. And now St. Clair on the quote-unquote easier side in control. They can just lock up 1 or 2 goals early. This one might already be over before it really gets started.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I believe it was Frags and Santi who just were doing God's work in the frag department, as they, I believe, were both 10 and 5 at one point. I'd need to check the board once we get out of the halftime screen, but yeah, there you go. They have definitely been the ones who've been paving the way for J-Will, the runner, who's been scored on, or has scored on 3 of the 4 St. Clair points. And now this is dangerous territory, because to me, when you think about the fact that you're taking St. Clair to a Blackheart hard point,
scary.
It is.
Scary hours.
It definitely is.
already St. Clair. It's getting a little frightening for Bellevue because they just haven't been able to find anything in terms of big picks at the start of this round. Ace going to shut down frags, but St. Clair already in control of the device, and with the way Bellevue is shaded right now, they got to get this rotation out because it might be an easy score for St. Clair, but Jay will. He's waiting for the reinforcements before he does anything crazy. Maybe try and bait Bellevue into shade to the other side of the map, and that's a good look for Santi, who get knifed there, but that's okay. The device gets stalled out and not too close to St. Clair's end, so even though Bellevue is going to take control, they still got a long way to go, and St. Clair should be able to reset and get the reserves back to where they want to be.
Man, that was so funny earlier over on the drone side, how Frags was able to get out of that 1v2 because Cameron just team kills his friend. I mean, that's just unfortunate, and you can't have stuff like that happen. And St. Clair still 4-1. Now, I will say, they haven't looked actually nearly as good on the attack, but this could be where it all changes up. I mean, look at this player right here, Frags, who's just sitting close to the switch yard side. The second this kill goes down, you can just rush it back in, and Jay will. Even though you fall and 3 kills go the way of Bellevue, the damage has already been done.
Yeah, the 4-goal lead now for St. Clair, and I can really start to play a little bit more passively, but I don't think that's what St. Clair's going to do. You know that they're not going to just sit back and wait for this one to be over. You know it's still going to be pedal to the metal the rest of the way. Frags to the double to give St. Clair control again, and even right now, I mean, like, the lane is clear. I mean, White Widow already in their spawn, and that's 6 for St. Clair, and I think at this point, really getting to a point where Bellevue, it's going to be really, really tough for them to get back into this game. They're finding the picks they need, but they're just coming a little bit too late, and they just haven't really had any quality control or quality runs, you could say, with the overload device.
Yeah, unfortunately, the defense has been too good. I don't think that Jay Will is aware that one went over his head, but it doesn't really matter when you can just down the runner. Ace with one, and
this is free
should have a clear lane if St. Clair's players can't get there in time. The Dolphin dive over and can detonate there, but at the same time here with 2 minutes left to go and you're down by 4 scores, I just don't see how viable this comeback is.
Man, it's just, it looks too easy for the St. Clair team. They're going to get control once again. Going to be taking it up around near the solar panel side, but now the move comes through, the rotation coming through, frags to the double to open up the map just a little bit, and Jay Will already on point A. He calls that it's clear. Another easy score for St. Clair. 1 away from securing this one before time expires. And Bellevue, last chance before you go down to match point.
Man, it feels like the series just started here, Ev, but honestly, we could be looking at a very quick turnaround from St. Clair after dropping that game of Surge, and St. Clair showing off some flair in 7-2 fashion. They've looked pretty damn good thus far. 1:15 left to go, and I think I'm safe to call it at this point here. I mean, we're going to be heading over to Blackheart Hardpoint in a minute's time or less if St. Clair decide to score, and that is going to be a scary sight for those Bellevue players.
Yeah, but you know, we'll see what Bellevue has, you know, in store when their backs are against the wall. Still definitely not over yet, because this Bellevue team definitely has the talent level to make it happen, but it just seems like when it comes to respawn modes, the Saints are just so much more adept at making these rotations and finding these trades to come through. I think the only reason Bellevue really wins that really just comes out the back that it's a, you know, a non-respawn mode, and just find the picks, you just shut a round down before it starts, and Rihanna will not be fooled by that movement tech that Ace was trying to pull on her, and like you called it, Patrick, St. Clair, they go up 2-1 in this series, a 7-3 win on exposure, setting them up for a very favorable map 4 of Blackheart.
Yeah, and it's going to be dangerous right here for Bellevue. The one thing I will say, though, is if they do take that matchup, then this immediately flips.
Yeah.
Because you then go back to S&D. And again, I love matchups like this where, hey, you know what? These are big-time games that are going to be played here, this Overload and this Hardpoint. St. Clair, they're able to take the first, but can they finish? That is the question.
It's a big question, but, I mean, no excuses when it's a mode you dominated on early and a map you're claiming to be one of your best. So no excuses for the Saints right now to get this one done. And if I'm them, I mean, I'm coming in confident. Like, you've reestablished your lead. Even S&D was so close. You only lose in the last round. It's not like you got stomped in Search. So I think even if, for some reason, a second map of Search is required, I still think you have confidence knowing that the fact that the first one was so close. Just have to rethink your strategy a little bit, play things a little bit smarter, and you probably would have walked away with a win.
Yeah, absolutely, but we don't, hopefully, have to see another Search game here. 9:15, and we have potentially our final map to go. St. Clair gets this done to become 10-1 so far through an ace, and they would hand Bellevue their second loss of the season. And
crazy.
Bellevue, for a team as good as they are, they need to tap into some extra mojo right now to get the job done. They need some sort of big-time play, some sort of resurgence into this matchup, because I'll be honest, for a team that was taking the fight to St. Clair so well in S&D, they just looked completely and utterly dead on Overload.
Yeah, they just couldn't get anything going, and it's similar to what we saw in Hardpoint the first time, is that St. Clair just had the better rotations coming through, and they were able to find kills in bunches and find the refrags. Bellevue they just were overwhelmed. I think that's the word you could use there. They were just overwhelmed by this aggression of St. Clair, and really good chance for them to, use that again. We potentially end where we started against Conestoga. Blackheart Hardpoint, and who am I looking for to make a big play? He's the guy in the foreground, Frags. He's the one who really made a big impact on map number 1. If this is his map, I'm expecting a big performance out of him.
I don't even think that's a question of if this is his map. I think we both know damn well this is this guy's map. I mean, he's had great performances, not only with this team, but with our main team as well. But wait no further. We have potentially one more to go, and Frags starting things off with a death, as the caster curse, it had to come in at some point. Good start so far on P1 from Bellevue. On how long they can hold it, though, that's up to Bluegill and other members to decide.
Well, and again, this is exactly what happened in that Conestoga series, where St. Clair weren't able to gain much control on point number 1, but once they started to rotate and these switches come through, that's when they really started to dominate. But so far, Bellevue doing a good job of holding this site, and I don't think they're going to give up any control in this one. This should be, barring St. Clair finding a way in, this should be a perfect hold for Bellevue. You do contest a little bit if you're St. Clair to stall that timer. Frags, he's going to get right up close and personal. Not good for the second one, though, but St. Clair does farm a little bit, but Bellevue already on P2.
Yes, Cameron with a great rotation, and yes, Bluegill's going to be taken out, so these next couple gunfights are going to be extremely influential, but Ace going to win out the first big one. They've taken point control now, and being contested from J-Will. The reload just coming through in time with the Dravik, going to be able to down the man there, but St. Clair off to, again, as you commented, a slower start. Going to see things change from them, but now you can see they're setting up their holds, and Frags and J-Will do not want to give these spots up.
Well, you mentioned earlier that history has a tendency to repeat itself, and again, this is exactly what happened against Conestoga. You put up a little bit of a donut on P1, and then you just rotate back into P2, and you're already back in the game right now. St. Clair about to retake the lead from Bellevue, and you already have guys sending their way over to the next hardpoint. Santi is going to win that gunfight, so St. Clair going to get there first. And already this point streak continuing to go up for St. Clair.
Yeah, and I mean, this would be extremely massive if these next 2 points are just dominated by St. Clair. At that point, we could start talking about maybe an 100-point deficit that Bellevue would start to have to try to claw back into their favor. This one contested, and you got to try to clear out Santi, but the man refuses to go down. J-Will helping him out, and finally Bellevue able to rally the troops and get St. Clair off of this point. Hopefully, if you're a fan of them, going to be able to set up a hold here worth of some intrinsic value.
We got two guys. Support for Bellevue. Jay Will is going to bounce off the wall to find one. Still contested, though, as they're going to rotate back in. Ace clearing out Jay Will, and good for a second as Bellevue clawing their way back into this game. Santi on the outside looking in, trying to stall this progression. St. Clair briefly in the lead, a 1 point differential. They're going to start to build this up once again. Very, very close on hardpoint. These two teams going back and forth. Bellevue just refusing to go down, and St. Clair trying to claw their way to a victory. And I could say it right now, Patrick. As good as they are on hardpoint and on Blackheart, I don't think this one's going to be easy.
Yeah, no, I think I can definitely agree with you on this one. Bellevue seems like they have just simply woken up, and they are taking this fight quite well to St. Clair right here. And that's what I love to see. There aren't many games on hardpoint against St. Clair where we can say other teams usually play them close, let alone have had the lead for a select portion of this one, as St. Clair now, just as I say that, they eclipse a little more than 30 on the spread, but Bellevue can rack up a couple of gimme points before this rotation happens. As you can tell, though, St. Clair over on the barge side, they're already set up, and they know exactly where to be when the time calls. Santi waiting. He's going to be able to take control of the hard point right away, as these kills that come through the mid, these players, they're going to have to make sure that they can clear out the backside. Scammering with a couple huge kills, and that's absolutely massive. That opens the map right up for Bellevue on a huge rotation.
Yeah, unfortunately, have to give up possession of the hard point, because if you're Santi, you're on an island, essentially, and when you don't have your support and Bellevue spawning on that side, you're just going to get overwhelmed so quickly, and this becomes dangerous now for St. Clair. You know, you talk about how they've struggled to break into sites, and when it's getting critical now, you know, you use that Hellstorm to clear out the site for a little bit, but already Bellevue back on. Scammering just going absolutely ballistic right now in the back line. St. Clair do reestablish control, but you have guys for Bellevue that they've come to play, and they've already narrowed that lead down, and we're going to be right back to where we started, where Bellevue just completely dominated on this first hardpoint. St. Clair need to make sure this is a clean hold to get a foot back into this game.
Yeah, in this central drill, the last time we were over here, what was it? St. Clair got 2 points on it. So you've already done better than you did before when this game started on P1. Jay Will looking to hold here, and you need to make sure that you can keep up on this one, as Ace going to try to see if he can find anything through the mid side of Diving Bell, but unfortunately for him, St. Clair, they seem to be really good at keeping up in that control room.
And to be fair, the first time Bellevue got to the point first, and again, what's the one weakness that St. Clair has in hardpoint is breaking into a site. And I think this P1, out of all the ones on Blackheart, this is the hardest one to break into. Such a close quarters environment, not a lot of angles that you can really get to surprise somebody that isn't really super telegraphed. So St. Clair, they're just able to get there first, and this hold really paying dividends. So now this rotation come through, you're okay to give up some gimme points if you can get your rotation set, and already Jay Will on P2, and the streak continuing to go up for St. Clair. Just have to make sure you can keep holding this one. Back-to-back great holds like this should set them up for the later part of this game.
Yeah, and I was going to say, for a lot of this game, it seemed like St. Clair were kind of one step ahead, and Bellevue was playing catch-up, albeit they were able to literally catch right back up. But now St. Clair, they found their successful hold, and a second one here might be a little bit too much to ask from Bellevue, who have been consistently trying to go back and forth, but you got to make sure that you're good on the next 3 holds if this keeps up. And St. Clair, they're just continuing to let this one build. 100 points, eclipsed almost on this difference, and I'm not going to lie, you know, I don't want to call it too early, but you had to have something give from Bellevue, and it definitely did.
Well, it's a bit of a miscue there, as Frags' grenade going to take out Santi, so the point progression will halt briefly. Hopefully that will not come back to bite St. Clair. This next point already set up. St. Clair, it's their 3rd point in a row where they get first man on. Jay Will has been that guy. That starting position for St. Clair. 100-point differential has been eclipsed now, but Bellevue Still making it interesting. This is a point they held pretty well the last time they were there, but a double from Frags to really open it up. Jay Will also getting involved. 200 points plus for St. Clair. They're looking to close this one out.
I mean, when you need a guy to make a big play, Frags has always been there. Santi with his prone angle going to be able to find another, and all of a sudden St. Clair, they're getting comfy in their new house. Santi going to be able to find a triple. And just off of that alone, 19 seconds left to go. And I mean, from here on out, this one's going to have to be damn near flawless from Bellevue. But it just simply isn't the case, is it, Ev? You have Frags lurking in the central drill. He's able to pick up 2 on a lurk. And now Santi and company, they're moving all across the map, and it seems like Bellevue just can't keep up.
Yeah, they're just looking for stragglers at this point. It's going to be Santi on site first for St. Clair, but it's going to be Bluegill winning that 1v1. So Bellevue back in control. Jay Will now entering. And just not able to really get anything. His trade's getting sent back and forth. St. Clair finally come in with control, 20 points away from winning this series outright for Bellevue. Now is the time to send the full house, and that's exactly what's coming their way. St. Clair has to be ready. Santi with a double before getting traded out. Still contested now. Frags trying to stop this push from Bellevue. So close for St. Clair. They should be able to hold on, but Bellevue, they're making it very, very interesting.
They definitely are, but now 5 more points left to go, and unless anyone from Bellevue can touch, I was going to say this one's going to be all she wrote. The flood comes through, some picks going the way of Frags, including one of his own teammates, but that's going to be all she wrote. St. Clair, they move to 10-1. They do it in 4, and they down Bellevue, giving them only game on search and destroy through 1 round of differential on deck.
Only 1 blemish on their record tonight, and even that wasn't a stomp by any means. Very, very close search and destroy game. So all in all, a very successful trip to the office for the ACAD team as they establish themselves as now the top team in Varsity Plus Call of Duty. So it's a really great showing for them, and they made the most out of their opportunity of being on stream for the first time. Really, really solid stuff to see from this ACAT team, and you can just tell everyone's super fired up about how that series ended up.
Yeah, and they have every right to be. These guys performed absolutely amazing, and again, special shout out to Santi and Frags, who were some huge impact players, but Jay Will and White Widow as well held things down when it mattered. And sure, you know, it's easy to get overshadowed when you have people popping off like that, but this team gets the job done through being able to play and coordinate together. And that was definitely something that we noticed about the Respawn game modes that just simply was ahead of everyone else in this competition tonight.
Yeah, they just played it at such a higher level. And you could just tell that once they got back into that Respawn mode, even with Overload, you could just tell how much more comfortable everything seemed for this ACAT team. That really is where they thrive. And again, I think if they could get that S&D back, I think they probably would take it, even if, you know, but it does not matter. ACAD finds a way to come out on the other side of it, win the doubleheader, and against a really good team like Bellevue, they sent a message, I think, to the rest of Varsity Plus, is that this is definitely the top team for the league, and we're happy to have it. And yeah,
seems like we're going to be having potentially a post-game interview that will come through, and definitely nice to get a little bit of insight. A dominant finish through 2 rounds from St. Clair, and I'm very interested to see who we pull from the team to ask a few questions. But a little bit on the spot as, hey, you know what? All around, St. Clair, they really did put on a show here tonight. Like you said, a little bit of a blemish on SND, but, you know, a few rounds go here and there, we could be having a completely different story. But shout out to Bellevue for showing up and putting up a fight, because it's not often that we see some teams really take it to any of our rosters here.
No, they really did make it difficult, you know, to get this one through. And I think even still, or even though that we looked so strong on Hardpoint, you know, it was definitely not an easy fight. There were some tough engagements and tough fights that St. Clair needed to get through in order to find out. That's just talent really shining through in those moments, and they just outshined Bellevue in every sense of the word. But, you know, I'm sure you can go back and VOD review and nitpick some things that they could have done better, but like I said, they don't ask how. They ask how many. That's what we always say. And St. Clair able to find those 3 wins when they needed to. And it's a good look for them as they get through the last couple games of this NACE season. Hard to believe that we're already close to the end of NACE seasons all around. And
was it just 2 more weeks left of
basically,
school in general?
yeah,
I mean,
before maybe probably 4 weeks, I think.
2 more weeks of like competition, maybe, or
yeah, because LAN is what, like the 2nd, 3rd week of April for NACE LAN, something like that.
Some of my classes have their exams a little bit earlier, but hey, you know what? The whole point is we're wrapping up, and we're going to be having a little bit of a sit down, questions being asked for Jay Will. Mr. John, he's back up and ready to go for one more interview here, as we're going to be sending it straight to him. Jay Will, welcome. Happy to have you here in the stage on your open mic. Sir, you just got done 2 series. You get through 2-0. You move on to 10-1 through NACE. How nice is it to hit double digits knowing that you're getting to the playoffs soon?
Honestly, those guys were a good matchup for us. It was a lot of fun, and it just feels good.
No, absolutely. And I got to ask you, obviously you guys drop S&D. It was very, very close, but you end up dropping it, regardless. What's the mentality? What was the mentality of the team after you go down 1-1? Because you guys came out and just absolutely dominated on Overload at Map 3. What was the conversation that you guys had after that had happened?
Honestly, it was a lot of mental regain, because we felt that it was, we choked a couple rounds, right? And after that, everyone was level-headed. Teammates were frying, frags especially.
Yeah. I mean, we know exactly how good that guy can get when he really starts firing on all cylinders. Him and Santi were putting on an absolute dominant performance on the map of Blackheart, obviously, last. I just want to ask you, right? Obviously, you were showing a lot more of the AR side of things through this night's matchup, holding a lot of necessary crosses and whatnot. How nice is it to just have that confidence to know that you have teammates who you know just what to expect and can perform on that level? Does it make your job any easier?
Honestly, it makes me feel like I don't even really need to do anything, to be honest, right? Like, it makes my life easy. I can just post up on a heady and not have to worry about anyone running up on me. It's great. I love it.
Well, it's great that it was a full team effort from you guys tonight. Like Patrick said, you guys moved to 10-1. We're getting close to the end of the season. How great is this to come out of a doubleheader like this against a really good team in Bellevue to just get yourselves ready for the playoffs and the rest of the season?
Yeah, it feels good. Shout out to my teammates again. They made the games feel really easy, and shout out White Widow for holding the spawns the last map. And yeah, it just felt really, really clean, really simple.
Well, it's good that it was simple for you guys. And Jay Will, again, thank you very much for joining us on the show tonight. Congratulations on your win. Hope you enjoy with the rest of your team.
Thank you very much. Have a good night, everyone.
And that's good stuff coming through from Raycat. It's even nice to see that there's support for everybody, and everyone is just, there isn't like a real ego as well. Everyone's supporting each other. That's a really good mentality to have as your team, and really good to set them up for the future. But that's it for us, Patrick. Call of Duty is over, so they say, but we'll be back later this week for more streams. We'll be off tomorrow, but we'll be back Friday for some more ACAD action. Valorant this time, so we'll get to see our Valorant ACAD team back in action. But before we go, Patrick, we have a big event to talk about. Obviously, we've decorated our set accordingly because there is a little something that's happening on April 11th. Tell us about it.
Yeah, isn't there? I mean, it's Sakura Fest. We've been plugging it the entire semester, but more so now than ever because No Man's Land is over. And now we got to move on. And if you can see right here, 2 beautiful general admission and premium admission packages waiting for yours to claim. Scan the QR code, register right now. Look at all those different benefits.
A lot of benefits.
The merch. You said it looks absolutely amazing. They've been posted as well. You guys can check the socials if you want a little glimpse of that as well. If you want to join the cosplay contest, TCG, FGC, there are vendors. There's everything here that you could imagine for every one of your anime fans. Just make sure you show up and show out on April 11th. Register now. Use that QR code.
Yeah, really hope to see a lot of people for Soccer Fest. No Man's Land was a great success this year. We're hoping to get similar numbers around Soccer Fest. So again, please, if you want to sign up, the QR codes are everywhere right behind me as well. So
fully student-ran event.
Exactly, and if you feel so inclined, we'd love to see you out. But until then, and until next time, that is going to be it for us here. We want to give a shout-out to the prod team in the back. We got Adam directing tonight. We got Hayden, as well as Landon back there. So shout out to everybody involved. And thank you, Patrick, for casting with me tonight, as always. This dynamic duo of St. Clair, you could say. But we have some other people we need to thank. The sponsors, of course. So we want to thank Tim Hortons, Subway, Onezo, Pre-Fire, Alienware, the St. Clair SRC and Alumni Association. And what do we say? Thank you, sponsors. Thank you for keeping the lights on in here, guys. And again, like we said, we're going to be back on Friday night for Valorant ACAD. But until then, dear viewer, we hope you have a great night and a good rest of your week.
What I'm most looking forward to is to see like all the boys make it. Div 1 land.
I think it's just a win. Like, our team has been going through a lot of changes. I want to see how far we can push it and see if we can finish third or get like a podium.
Looking forward to competing with tough opponents and having a good time with my team.
I really want to break that top 5, top 4 threshold.
Winning seal.
I'm looking for a revenge on CCO.
Getting top 4?
To be honest, nothing. I don't really have anything to look forward to. Next semester is what I'm looking forward to.
I'm looking to win CCO. We only lost that one, so.